It's the Bar Live PMS, the Pugs Moran show for a Friday afternoon. It's the Friday before Memorial Weekend 2012. Sounds a little tinny. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. At least I can hear it. All right, I need more in my headphones. No, I'm not hearing anything. Not hearing anything. Well, I'm hearing something, but I'm being overdramatic. There we go. Now I'm hearing good stuff. All right. All right, let me run down the list of things that you need to know about thebarlive.com. First of all, check us out on Facebook. It's The Bar Live on Facebook. Also, the website, thebarlive.com. You're probably watching the video now, if you're listening to me now in real time, because it's the way people listen live. You go to the website, thebarlive.com. Please like the damn Facebook page. I don't understand how it is that the videos and the podcasts are getting all kinds of circulation, but I thought Facebook was the medium of choice. Nobody seems to be liking the Facebook page. You know why? We're not doing enough with it. Because I'm still actually focused on my own personal Facebook page. I'm not spending the quality time. Right. I'm not nurturing the Bar Live Facebook page. I'm doing what most radio stations do with their Facebook pages.
I think that's one
Ignore
of the... Yeah, and that's always the one thing that ends up killing a Facebook page is, if you go to somebody that, maybe new, like you check out their Facebook page and you don't see a lot of different updates or anything like that you want now in your feed, then you aren't going to subscribe to it.
Not even going to see it. Yeah. I'm never going to even know it's there. All right, I gotta make... let's just say that I'm going to be switching over, and I have been slowly sort of doing more and more stuff over there, but I'll be doing more stuff on the Bar Live on Facebook. Turn it into sort of the station's page. I'd like to get everybody more involved there, like Big Dave and the Y&R guy, those kids, those crazy kids.
The Y&R guy, and just the one guy.
Did I say guy or did I say guys?
No, guy.
Well, guys, the Y&R, the You're Never Right radio guys, which can also be heard at thebarlive.com. And by the way, we're going to be doing a gangbang show Sunday. You can come out and see us Sunday afternoon. We'll be at the Back 9. Excuse me. Whoa. I'm like Jabba the radio host. Seriously. The hell, I'm disgusting. We'll be doing a gangbang show. That's people from all the different shows will be out together on Sunday out there at the Back 9. So come on out. What are you doing for? Probably got nothing going on. Nobody has anything going on Memorial Day weekend. So come on out and join us at the Back 9, 3 to 6 roundabouts out there. The Back 9, located on Beltline at Marsh. Is it Marsh or is it Midway?
Beltline and no, I think it's a little bit further down from Midway actually. Yeah.
All right, hold on. You know what I'm gonna do? Watch what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna Google search the Back 9 in Dallas. I'll get you. You think I can't get an address really quick? I can get an address really quick. I should have had. You got an address for the Back 9? Here comes Brandon.
It's 4060 Beltline Road. It's right there between Midway and Marsh on Beltline. So about 3 doors down from like Sam's.
4060 Beltline Road, right there in Addison, Texas, 3 to 6 on Sunday. Yeah, Brandon.
Also, we'll be having a free car wash, bikini car wash, and also we have like a bunch of photographers and models coming out to try out to be on Team Sunbrew.
All right, so there's a lot of things going on out there at the Back 9, plus the live broadcast, live Memorial Day cookout, beer-barbecue, whatever you want to call it. We'll be doing it out there at the Back 9 from 3 to 6 on Sunday night. Come on out. What the hell? You don't have to work the next day. Why not?
That's right. It is a 3-day weekend, isn't it?
Off. It's a 3-day weekend, so we're going to have fun. All right, a couple of things I want to address right here. Now, I have my typical 3 things segment that we like to start each and every show with here. 3 things that I don't want to forget to mention today. 3 things that I always kick myself on the ride home going, oh, I didn't mention that. So I try to front load the show with these 3 things. But I've got an additional couple of things that I just want to mention. Things that I just thought of while I was driving here. Okay. First of all, when I was growing up, when I was a kid, I was taught to be social. I was taught to be friendly, if you will. And one of the main ways to do this, it is great for society. It makes everybody feel better. One of the main ways to do that is when you're walking down a sidewalk and someone is walking towards you on the sidewalk, you address them. You say, hello. It's just common courtesy. Yeah. It's just, makes the world a nicer place. People don't do that anymore. I'm the only one who does it. And every time I do it, the reaction from the person is like I'm some kind of a pervert or something. Yeah. Like they don't know how to react. People do not know how to react to natural human kindness or just the way people are supposed to coexist in a civilized society.
People are so freaked out these days, though.
They are.
Like, are you
It's
talking
the breakdown
about?
of society.
It is. But like, are you talking about maybe like in a kind of high traffic building? Hey, how's it going?
No.
Like,
If it's hustle and bustle, you do not have to say hello to everybody.
well, no. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that like somewhere where there's a little bit more traffic. Like for instance, I would stop trying to talk to people on like a trail. Like if I'm on the Katy Trail, there's like one girl and I'm walking by. I'm not gonna try to creep her out.
Is she walking towards you?
Yeah.
Is she speed walking? That's different because she could be speed walking with that. You can tell
Either
when
way.
people are. Nah, I don't think you need to on the Katy Trail. People
Yeah.
are getting their workouts in.
Yeah.
You know,
I just feel like that, people are probably freaked, especially a girl, probably freaked out on the Katy Trail.
Yeah.
She doesn't need anybody like, doing anything, like saying hi, anything. She's probably there for a reason.
But here's the weird part of it. If it's on a sidewalk, like it was in my instance this morning, I'm walking my dog down the sidewalk.
Okay.
And I see a neighbor who I don't know, but I see them around. I know they live in the building. I see them walking towards me. And I see him walking towards me from like 40 yards out. So I'm walking my dog and we're walking towards. We're the only people. There's nobody else around.
And what kind of a dog do you have?
A husky.
A husky? Okay. Yeah, so that's not like a really intimidating dog, really.
Yeah, she is.
She is? Okay.
Yeah, but it's not like that. It's not like she's not scared. She's off doing her business. I'm just walking.
Okay.
And I see this guy coming, right? And I don't even think about it. It's not like I'm going to say hi. I'm going to say hi to this guy. No, it's just a natural reflex because I was raised properly. And this person walks up to me. As we brush by each other, I say, hi, how are you? Like that, just like that.
That's so familiar.
Hi,
Yeah.
how are you? Because I know we see each other. We know we live. And this is what that person did. All right, I'm going to do this is the face. Like totally mumbled it, like didn't know what to say, like couldn't fathom in the instant how to react to some stranger just saying hello. Completely lost as to how to react to that.
That would be, because I didn't realize it was that bad.
It happens a lot, though. I mean, I notice it a lot because I think I might be one of the lone people out there that still says hello to strangers.
Yeah. I do kind of the same thing, and maybe mine comes off a little bit more creepy, so I'm a little bit more aware of it.
More creepy?
Like mine is I try to make eye contact with everybody. You know what I mean?
Always, yes. Eye
Yeah.
contact is very important.
Yeah. So
But people freak out with eye contact.
Oh, do they? Oh, even just like in a drive-through. Hey, thank you. And I'll look at them straight in the eyes, and they'll be like it's like they saw something that
Right.
they've never seen before. I mean, like I'm almost scared of what they're seeing sometimes.
I was told about 15 years ago by my friend my friend Mitch Rosen, who is a big CBS radio executive in Chicago. I was his assistant, and he pulled me aside about 15 years ago. No, boy, at this point it's probably more like 18, 19 years ago. He pulled me aside in the office once and he said, "Hey, I need you to do something for me." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "If you're going to be representing me as my assistant, I need you to start making eye contact with people." And from that day forward, I've been like, he's absolutely right. Because I hate it when people don't make eye contact with me.
Yeah.
And at the time I was an intern, and interns tend to be a little less confident, So I was never like, I was always like looking down, yes, sir, I'll do whatever you want. But no, he instilled this confidence in me to say, look, no, you belong here. You represent me. I represent the show. You, therefore, are a representative of all of us, and you need to be making eye contact with people. We can't have people thinking we got a shady kid working for us. And I'm like,
Right.
You're absolutely right. I need to start making eye contact with people.
Because it does immediately bring to their attention that you are trustworthy enough to make eye contact with them.
I'm not hiding anything.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you man to man.
Yeah.
Now it's weird. How long can you and I keep eye contact?
It is. This is going to start getting awkward, isn't it?
All right, and break. Okay. See, that's how we do it.
All right.
All right, so anyway, folks out there, this Memorial Day weekend, let's try and just ratchet up the expectation of society. What do you say we just start saying hi to people? Why not? Nobody's going to stop and have a conversation. It's not about that. But it's just about showing another human being that you are willing to somehow interact with them, that everyone's not living in their fortresses, behind giant walls, hiding from everyone.
It's TV that's like really freaking people out because they'll turn on the news, they'll hear about the one person. It was a really rare circumstance, but like you said, walking into Target, this person gets stabbed. Now you can't trust the people in the aisle with you in Target.
Maybe if we were friendlier to one another, people wouldn't get stabbed. I don't know how that would work, but
Yeah.
it might.
Something bad may have happened to that guy. They ended up stabbing that lady in Target. Who knows what happened on his jog in the morning?
Right.
He may have tried to say hi to somebody. They just shoved him away.
That's a lost cause. Excuse me. All right, but anyway, you are correct. If you are jogging on the Katy Trail, if you're working out, if you're in a public place where there are a lot of people out there doing their thing, don't say hi to them. And also, a lot of people are walking around wearing headphones now and stuff. You don't have to say hi to those people. But you could nod. You can make eye contact with a stranger as they pass by. A nod, a little awareness.
Yeah.
Sup? Something like that. Just be friendly. Actually, don't do that. I hate that. I'm too cool. Sup? I hate that. That is like... Because on the one hand, it's kind of friendly. It's not exactly antisocial, but you're being a douchebag.
I appreciate like a nod.
Sup?
I mean, if they say sup, I'm gonna like definitely degrade what the nod was worth.
You know what sup? You know why that bothers me? Because it's always like it should always be followed with sup, dumbass. It's too comfortable. Too sup.
What about what's up, man?
Sup, jerk. What? That's different. You said it differently. Okay. What's up, man? That's fine.
Okay, because that's my thing.
Fine.
I always go to that and I wonder.
You're very friendly.
Okay.
I will say that you are very friendly.
Okay.
You're not the too cool. Sup.
Right.
Sup. Never mind. I was going to go into something. We don't need to. All right. Let's see. My second pregame three things, as we're calling this is the pregame three things. My second pregame three things is my car, and you are too, I believe. We're both out of registration, right? So it's like, oh, man, we're looking over our shoulders. We're making sure that, and I can't get my stuff all settled up and normal until I can get the damn check engine light off.
Right.
Because they won't give me the air, clean air thing or whatever until that check engine light is off. And that's a radiator issue. And that's a really expensive issue for the car that I'm currently driving. So I'm like just kind of biting the bullet and going, oh, God, all right, I need a vehicle. So whatever. So I'm constantly watching for police. I'm always, man, I can see a cop from like, man, and I'm always turning into neighbors. You do this too?
Yeah.
Like, here comes one. I live here. And you pull into a driveway. It's like, okay. Nothing suspicious going on with me.
It just becomes part of your habit when you drive. Like, you get so good at it. Like,
oh, well, though, let's not tempt fate.
Well, that's true.
It is Memorial Day weekend. The cops will be out in force. Let's not tempt fate, Jimmy Ryan, because we're sitting here. The cops are great people. They're doing great jobs. I just think that leave me alone. Okay, just leave me alone.
Leave me alone.
Just leave me alone.
Go on, keeping society in order, but just leave me alone.
I'll tell you what. You want to pull me over for that? That's fine. Run my license. See that I have no warrants. Just send me on my way. Okay, just send me on my way. I'm not wanted for anything. Just I'm having problems, dude. Come on. It's like look at. Although I now think that I'm somehow advanced in getting out of like tickets and stuff because I got a baby seat in my back seat. I can always do some horrible. I'm sorry, officer. It's tough. I'm a single dad. My wife died in a plane crash. I just make up anything.
I'm investing in a baby seat. How much do these things cost?
It's not worth it. Just get your car registered. Yeah,
I could get one on Craigslist, right? Like maybe just
probably.
Just clean it.
All right, so I'm always looking for cops, and I don't know what this is an indication of. But do you know what I see far more of in my daily driving? I see more constables than I do actual police. I see more of these and constables, the people who drive around all day and serve people with lawsuit papers. And I always think they're cops because they're cop cars, but they just say constable on it. And the constables ain't going to pull you over for out of state or out of registration or something like that.
Right.
What does that say? Does that say that we are more about filing crazy, ridiculous lawsuits than we are actually manning the streets with law enforcement?
I think it does. I mean, like it showed itself. I don't know if you noticed it. I think it may have been yesterday or maybe the day before. Leaving here, there were 3 cop cars out in front of a house, and it was for just simple tickets and things like that.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes, when in the less crime areas, when you get pulled over, all the cops come. Yeah. They all come and check out what's going on.
It was the craziest. But it was actually at somebody's house. They went to a house to, I guess, somebody had warrants or something. Oh. But it didn't seem like it was anything crazy. There was no, like, Wild West shootout that they were getting prepared for. It was more like, hey, by the way.
Well, maybe that's because there were too many cops there. Had one cop gone, maybe there would have been a Wild West shootout.
Yeah.
All right, 3 things. 3 things that I want to mention here at the top of the show. SpaceX. Jimmy, I know you're a big fan of the SpaceX project, the Falcon rocket that delivered the Dragon up there into orbit. Well, the Dragon last night, which is the SpaceX, what are they calling this thing? The capsule or whatever. It's just filled. You know what it is? It's a high-tech piñata. That's what that thing is. It's just filled with goodies. It's filled with goodies being delivered to the astronauts on the International Space Station.
Also, another kind of cool thing that I didn't realize that they were already doing, but one of my, I know that this may sound morbid, but bear with me. One of the things I've never understood being buried, never understood being cremated, but I did think that one thing would be cool, to have your ashes shot into space.
Totally cool. Totally want that.
This is now possible for $2,000.
Yes, it is.
And the very first people, their ashes are up there.
That's what I want. I want my descendants to be able to look up at the sky from wherever they are and pretend they're at my gravesite. I don't want people going to cemeteries are archaic and they're creepy and they're gross. Why do they still exist?
Now there is one
dead
bad
people in the ground.
There is one bad thing about this. Like when I originally envisioned being shot into space, I was envisioning really being able to propel myself out into space. But with this little thing, apparently it goes into a couple winds, like it does a couple rotations and then shoots right back into our own atmosphere. It's not quite as cool.
You know what would be cool though? I'm sorry, I was distracted. My first ex-wife is texting me. Like she doesn't know I'm on the radio. I don't get this. I'm on the radio. I don't know if she's watching or not. Here's what would be cool. I want my corpse to just be set afloat in outer space. I don't want to be burned. I don't want to be cremated. I want that's the next option. I want to go up like in a body bag, and then they open up the body bag and they open up the hatch door or whatever, and then they just let me sort of out in space for eternity, just floating around. That would be so badass.
Yeah, I mean,
what's the difference? What is the difference between a mini little piece of human ash and a 250-pound body? It's space. You know, the difference between those two sizes is nothing. I mean, space is, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Astronomers could forever just be like looking for a star and be like, oh, Pugs is in the way.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, see, I'm too small. Anyway. And you know what reminds me? I saw a movie on cable the other day. It's called Another Earth. Have you seen this?
Nuh-uh.
Have you heard about it?
No, I don't think so.
It's one of these artsy-fartsy films. It's one of these artsy... but here's the premise. Oh, by the way, have you seen Melancholia yet?
No.
Dude, didn't I tell you got to see Melancholia?
I don't think so. Did you?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I like these kinds of movies. All right, Melancholia is about a discovery of another planet that had been hiding behind the sun that is now on a collision course to Earth. This is not a Jerry Bruckheimer movie. It's a Lars von Trier movie. So it's like all art house, and it's all about the way people would deal with the impending doom of life. And you basically see this other planet, Melancholia, coming towards you, and it gets bigger and bigger in the sky. It is an awesome movie.
Yeah.
Best movie of last year. One of two best movies of last year, I think. At any rate, Another Earth I watched because it seemed kind of like that. The premise of Another Earth is that astronomers suddenly discover that there is another planet, and it's right out there. They can now see it. It's moving closer and closer to the Earth. It's not going to collide with us. It's going to sort of hook up with our orbit and just kind of be out there floating around. But it's striking because the astronomers cannot believe how similar it is to Earth. It has one moon just like we do. It has the same amount of oceans, the same amount. And as they get closer and closer and they're able to see more and more of it, it's got cities. There are people there. And then they get closer and closer. Like, they don't have just cities. They've got Los Angeles. They've got New York. It's a mirror planet. And everyone that is on this Earth also exists on that Earth. It was trippy. It was really trippy.
Writing that down now.
Another Earth. It's kind of cool. So basically, it's like if you screw up on this planet and you know that you've got another of you on that other planet, did that person screw up as well? And that's what that movie explores. It was pretty good. Wow. So, yeah, I've been in a space mood lately. So at any rate, the Falcon, the SpaceX Falcon rocket, delivered the Dragon to the International Space Station last night, at like 3 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah, it was just before 3.
Wow. Did you watch it live? Because I know we were talking about watching. I didn't. I fell asleep. I was up way too early, so I
Yeah, it was basically it was just kind of weird because the way that they were like kind of talking about the way that they work it, they have to get that arm out there, extend it, and grab it. And I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, it's like when you go to an arcade and they have that game where you're trying to get the mini purple teddy bear, and it's the crane. It's almost impossible.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what we saw. The International Space Station has one of those if you're watching, it makes sense because I'm making my arm look like that. And there was an astronaut inside controlling that arm, and he had to grab the Dragon.
Now, is he really alone?
Is he alone? I don't know.
That's the only person that I ever ended up hearing from, So I was just wondering, like, that has to be a really lonely gig. You know, like you hear that they're gonna send like a payload, but you're just gonna have to pick it up.
Wasn't there a Russian who spent like 3 years up there? And not by plan, but because they couldn't get him back. Don't you remember that a couple of years ago?
No, I didn't know that.
Russia was having problems with their space, and he was trapped up there. And they were like, how do we get him? And I believe we got him. I think the space shuttle went up and got him. This is going back like, a couple of years or something.
Yeah. Well, I was just trying to figure out, though. I mean, like, you're out there in the middle of space. Anything that you do is going to, like, kind of change your projection, I would imagine. Like, how much did that alter the shift of the International Space Station when you're picking something out of orbit? Yeah. I mean, like, you would think that you get kind of shuffled around a little bit. I guess you can kind of balance yourself again.
My mind can't even begin to wrap itself around that concept. You know what blows my mind about that? When you see it, and you see film of it or video of it, because it's all being videotaped by cameras on the space station and cameras on the Dragon. You see these things moving like this. If you're watching on the camera, you can see like this. Okay, the microphone is going to be the International Space Station, and the arm in my fist is going to be the Dragon. This is what you see when you're watching it. And then you find out that Dragon is moving 3,000 miles an hour. Yeah. You just can't tell because it's out in outer space and it looks like it's moving so slow. That thing is like a bullet flying out there. I mean, it's not as easy as it looks. It looks all slowed down. But in space, it's like every inch is like, equivalent to Earth, like 1,000 miles an hour. Like when you move, because I don't know why, because I just did space trivia. I don't know why. I don't go that deep in the books. I learn the fun fact and then repeat it. I don't find out why the fun fact exists. It blows my mind. This stuff blows my mind. Do you have any audio of that?
Yeah.
I know that you said you watched it. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. You were going to say something? Because I know that you're the science editor here on the PMS Daily Broadcast.
One of the things that I thought was really cool, though, is that like when they're
play it underneath this while we're talking.
I was actually hoping that this was going to be the audio, but it's not. Not playing correctly. But one of the things that I thought was kind of cool is that they almost went Wild West style on it, like the way that I would expect like me and my friends to go about it, like because it's a private company doing it, and they have this payload and it's going into orbit. They're able to shift it, maneuver it just a little bit. But what was really cool is that they're like, okay, well, let's see. They basically put out fake rings in the middle of space and said, "Can you hit it?" And they were like, "Yep." And then they would come around, hit it, and they'd be like, "Okay, 3 more of those, and then we'll bring you in closer to the space station so that they can pick you up."
They were testing the accuracy to see how they could control it up there.
Yeah, they're playing a video game.
That's
up
awesome.
There. Yeah,
that
and then
awesome.
like finally they're like, "Okay, that's 3. Let's go for the 4th one. You're gonna get closer this time." And then that's when they pick it up.
Do you know what was in? You know what was in the Dragon capsule?
Just like supplies, food.
Specifically, yeah. There was some food.
Mm-hmm.
There was candy.
Yeah.
There was laptops. There was medicine, and there was drinking water.
Yeah.
It's like a big piñata. It's like a big high-tech piñata, all filled with goodies.
Which also worries me. I realize that this may be...
What, did one of them leave their laptop at home? I mean, why do you suddenly need another laptop? Don't you take that with you?
Midway through the flight.
Right?
Shit, my iPad.
Oh, it fried, man. Call down there. Have them throw an iPad in the Dragon, along with a couple of Mars bars.
But, like, I'm wondering how, like, with this kind of a payload, you definitely didn't make your money back. Like, there was no, so, like, hopefully...
there wasn't no $1 billion satellite.
Yeah.
That GE paid for, no.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, I'm hoping that, this was, like, a huge publicity stunt, a $1.5 billion publicity stunt.
It was.
And then, they can get up there and start putting some more high-equipped
Hell, let me tell you something. They're going to make their money back on that $2,000 to have your remains... blown out, because I will totally sign up for that.
Absolutely.
Oh, and I should probably do it now while it's $2,000, because I imagine by the time we're in our 70s and it's really getting to be go time, it's going to be way more than $2,000. So let's lock that price in now.
Yeah. Pay in advance.
Yeah, pay like some people do here in Texas for college. Pay when the kid is born and lock it in at that price. Don't wait 20 years or 18 years or whatever. Did we get the audio?
No,
That's all right. You know what? We're going to a break anyway. So maybe in the break we'll play the audio if you can get it up. So here's what we're going to do. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We've got a couple of more of these 3 things. It is Memorial Day weekend here at the Bar Live. We'll be out on Sunday broadcasting a gangbang show. That's members of each and every show. We'll be out there at the Back 9. That's in Addison, right between Midway and Marsh. Couple of blocks west there of the Sam's Club, right over there. It's the back nine. We love that place. Those people are great people. And there's going to be a bike wash and a car wash, and there's going to be all kinds of, there's like a bikini thing going on. I don't know. It's Memorial Day weekend. What do you have to do? Probably nothing. So come join us at the back nine on Beltline on Sunday afternoon, 3 to 6. We'll take a break. We'll come back. I've got a couple of more 3 things. Hey, I'll tell you what. This is what I'll leave you with. Obama's a big Bogart when it comes to smoking weed, apparently. We'll read an excerpt from a new book that talks about Obama, the college years. We'll be back. It's The Bar Live, PMS.
Robotic arm is now being repositioning the Dragon spacecraft to what's known as the pre-install position. You can see the adjustments being made directly through the camera view on the centerline berthing camera system, looking directly up at the Dragon hatchway. The Dragon spacecraft solar arrays are now being repositioned for the berthing activities. We're about 16 minutes away from sunrise as the International Space Station travels 250 miles above Indonesia, tracking northeasterly. The spacecraft will shortly fly high above the Philippines, out over the Philippine Sea, and then make its way across the Pacific Ocean. Orbital sunrise coming just about the point where the spacecraft tracks to the south of the far islands of Alaska, and then swing out across the northeast coastline of Oregon.
Station, Houston, Space Ground 2. Thrusters are disabled, DSATs inhibited. We're ready for Step 7 of Procedure 1.210. Dragon maneuver from capture to install.
Copy. Step 7 in work.
That call indicating that essentially the station is in free drift. The crew, specifically Don Pettit, flight engineer aboard the International Space Station's Expedition 31 crew, has been given a go to position Dragon to the install location on the common berthing mechanism of the Harmony module of the International Space Station.
Houston Station, we see 4 green talkback on the RTLs.
Houston concurs.
And CBM operator, this is SSRMS operator. You have a go for first stage capture. Copy. It's a go for first stage capture, and with that, Houston, I'll put in 1.110 steps 1 through 4 in work.
Houston, concur.
CBM operator, the SSRMS mode to limp is complete. Go for second stage capture.
This is Mission Control Houston at 11:02 a.m. Central, 12:02 p.m. Eastern Time. Second stage capture is complete at a mission elapsed time for Dragon of 3 days, 8 hours, 18 minutes. The Dragon spacecraft now part of the International Space Station complex, the first ever commercial spacecraft to visit the International Space Station and the first U.S. spacecraft to visit the ISS since Space Shuttle Atlantis last July.
we're back. It's the barlive.com PMS, the Pugs Moran show for a Friday afternoon. Welcome, welcome all. Hope you enjoyed there if you were listening through the break. You heard the historic hookup between the Dragon, which is the capsule built by SpaceX, the private space agency, the first ever private space agency to hook up with the International Space Station. I know it seems geeky and weird, but if you're the kind of person who likes to look to the future and is excited by the future and is excited by the things that'll happen in the future, that's a big moment. This is a real, right, Jimmy? I know you're like me in this respect. That's a big moment. I can only imagine. I've got a 3-year-old son. I can only imagine the things that I will watch with my 3-year-old son over the next 15 years of this new era of privatized space exploration. It's going to be so awesome.
It's gonna be.
We'll go back to the moon.
Yeah.
A private company will go back to the moon because that's a glamour mission, and everyone will get excited about that again.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good reason to go there too. I mean, if we're correct about some of the things, cheese.
Isn't the moon made of cheese? Oh no. Never mind.
I was actually about to start being like, what's going on the moon? There's this certain type of power that we can probably harness there if we started doing work on there and started mining. Nitrous oxide 3, which is something that we don't have here.
Actually, before the moon, they may go to the moon first because it might just be it's something that's been done before.
I'm sorry, helium 3, not nitrous oxide. Helium 3, sorry.
There is a major plan afoot to start landing on asteroids. To send these capsules with astronauts and mining equipment up to these asteroids and just start mining these asteroids. Because apparently the asteroids are made of solid gold. I'm not kidding. They say that they're filled. How much? Okay, if gold from an American mine or from an Earth mine is worth X, what do you think gold mined from an asteroid would be worth?
Oh, can you even imagine? Especially if you're able to, there's going to be a whole market for asteroid gold.
Yeah, and can we call it ass gold?
Yeah.
I think that would be cool. 'Cause you got white gold, you got yellow gold. This would be ass gold, and it would be the top.
Yeah, it'd be the very top tier. And we would definitely end up calling it ass gold because we're always never bothered to say the entire word whenever we have to say it too often.
We're lazy.
Yeah.
But Jimmy, as I said earlier, we can't even say hello to each other anymore.
That is true.
We've got a president who does weed. All right, story number 2 here in my 3 Things segment. There's a new book coming out about Barack Obama that focuses on his college years. By the way, can I just say something now? Our friend Lane, who works on the Big Dave and Close show, I got into an argument with him last night, and everything that he put out as fact was completely wrong, and he never addressed it.
That's why
he never addressed it.
Lane is one of the funniest conservative people I will ever meet because,
but where did he hear that stuff? It was completely wrong. Did you know that? It was basically like this. Did you know Barack Obama used to be a woman? He was. He had a sex change at 18. I'm like, dude, that is just not true. It wasn't that dramatic.
My favorite part is Dave is going, oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's the problem with politics. Most people are honest with themselves that they don't know anything about politics. So someone who wants to just start spouting off about politics is seen as someone who knows more.
Yeah.
And in most of the cases, and this is rampant in conservative radio, they make stuff up, and everyone just goes, oh, yeah, they know what they're talking about. They just said something that Barack Obama grew up a rich kid who spent his entire life in private schools, and his grandfather was the president of some major Honolulu bank and made millions of dollars. Are you insane?
I did especially like that story.
He grew up a mixed-race kid of a single mom. I mean, where did you read this? Yes, Brandon. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, turn Brandon's mic on. You can put the headphones on, too. Please join us. You're always welcome. All right, here's the story. BuzzFeed's Gavin Lasig got his hands on an early copy of the upcoming Barack Obama biography penned by Pulitzer Prize winner David Marianis. Now, this is a book that everybody is excited about. Everybody wants to see what's going on here because this guy did some exhaustive research. Because, Jimmy, nobody has looked into Barack Obama's past.
No. For some reason, that slipped to everybody's mind all at once when he became president.
He is the most vetted person in American history. Yet we're going to have a book that's going to reveal some new details. So, whatever. But the book does supposedly contain some very interesting new things about our current president. For instance, the book contains several spliffy tidbits, but this one is by far the best. It says here, Barry, as he was known back then, when he was a super rich kid at private schools.
Right.
Barry also had a knack for interceptions. When a joint was making the rounds, he often elbowed his way in, out of turn, shouted, "Intercepted!" and took an extra hit. No one ever seemed to mind. All right, so, Jimmy, I know you've been in one of these spliff circles and all that, so this is familiar with you. Well, what do you make of this? Did you hear that? I'll read it again. Barry also had a knack for interceptions. When a joint was making the rounds, he often elbowed his way in, out of turn, and shouted, "Intercepted!" and took an extra hit. No one seemed to mind. Of course not, because everybody likes him. Because he's a good dude. He seems like a cool guy.
I think that's great. I mean, especially considering that he is the president now, but I can see that being a little bit annoying, though. You know, like, because if you've ever smoked pot casually with your friends, like, there is something that you take very seriously, and it is the rotation.
Pass it, dude.
Yeah.
What, are you just going to sit there and talk all day? Pass it. What is wrong with you? I don't want to hear your story. Yeah, people always tend to do that.
And everybody's aware of who gets going next. It looks like Barry's just coming in and jacking up the entire rotation.
He is. And he's screaming, "Intercepted." He's doing it. He knows what he's doing, and he's being honest about it.
No, I think that's great. I think
it's great.
Yeah.
I think it's funny. And you know why I think it's great? Because here's the truth of the matter. If you went to college in America in the last 30 years, you have probably smoked weed. You have probably been around it. You've probably seen people do it. You've been in the room. And at any given moment, you probably could have tested positive for it because you got in a contact high or whatever. But this tells me that he was a social guy, that he was involved. First of all, okay, let me demystify all of this. It's weed, people. Okay? It's weed. That's all. It's weed. Would you be just as upset if he was attending keg parties in college? Because he did that too. And you know what? Everyone does that. And I know that people have some uptight feelings about this particular issue, and that's fine, but get over it. Because really, at this point, we're just persecuting people for doing something that really does no harm to society. Oh, what do you mean it does no harm to society? They get in a car, they start... Well, that's a different issue. They get in a car, now they're a criminal. Now they're doing something while intoxicated. But if you're not going to do anything like that, you're just going to sit around with friends and you get intoxicated. We don't bust or degrade people for having a beer in their backyard at a barbecue, so why would this be any different?
I guess I'm just like completely out of touch because like there's a new stat that says that 56% of people believe that weed should be legalized.
Yes.
So, but I still don't believe that that's even how many, because like that would mean that 46% of people are ready to prosecute people for pot, and I don't believe that.
But that accounts for a lot of people that are older,
Yeah.
you know, and possibly even you've got to.
Is it really? Because
there's weird people out there, you know, like. Not weird. I'm sorry. I shouldn't do that. Just because you
You're
don't.
very weird.
No, just because you don't do it doesn't make you weird. It really doesn't. I'm sorry to say that.
But it does.
It doesn't make you. I mean, everybody doesn't smoke weed.
No, of course not.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
I mean, jeez, that would be a mess. But the people who do aren't all criminals, and that's what I mean when we need to demystify that. They're only criminals because we have these ridiculous laws that put people in jail for things that really aren't crimes against society, but are simple crimes against laws that were created. And they bolster the privatized prison system and all that stuff, and I'm not going to get into it. But what I like about this is that it shows a side of our president that he's a dude. You know, he's a good dude. I don't want the leader of the free world to be some uptight, set in his ways zealot about anything. I want a guy that's experienced life. I want a guy that has experienced people, that has been in different situations. That you know, I just don't have a problem with this. I think it's actually quite funny, and it shows a side of the president that I enjoy, a humorous side, a fun side.
Yeah, I guess the reason why I do appreciate it is kind of what I was saying is like 46%. I know that 46% of people are not against weed. I know that because I'm very open and honest about the way that I smoke. And even like, for instance, Brandon wouldn't smoke ever.
No.
You know, but he's not against it.
Right.
And I would think that in certain circles, you will say that you're against it when you're not really.
There are social pressures.
Right, and I think that that's accounting for a large percentage of that 46% as well. So I mean, like,
people
really,
who think they're supposed to say they're against it,
people
but
in certain
really in their
circles.
heart of hearts are not.
Yeah, even if you get like approached by a pollster, you feel morally obligated to say that you're against it, but really you're not.
It's funny
I
because I
think
feel all
that's-
this peer pressure right now.
Brandon.
Like I should have stepped up and said, "Man, I smoked weed one time. Quit picking on me." You know what I mean? Like, feel all the peer pressure.
Have you ever smoked weed?
Yeah, of course I have. But it's like I feel pressure.
Well,
like,
no, not of course, because you're a pretty clean guy.
Very
You're-
clean.
Yeah, you're a straight
but
edge guy.
I get a lot of
my friends
A lot of people come at me like I don't drink enough. I don't smoke enough weed to be cool. You know, like I feel all this peer pressure.
I
All the
wouldn't
time.
want you to drink. I don't want to be around you. I don't want to be around drunk.
I've been
Brandon.
around you drunk before.
No.
No, I've been around you hungover before.
Wait. Oh,
The next morning.
I have never. I have been drunk around you, but I
Yes.
have never noticed you being drunk around
You're
me.
right. But I've had my drunk incidents. The time I threw up in your studio walking out the door one time.
Oh yeah. All right.
Do you remember that?
I do remember that, but I thought, but because you didn't drink, I assumed you were sick. But then you told me later that you were out all night.
It's the night we had the homeless guy in the limo.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah.
That was a rough
like
one.
2 years ago. Charlie, right? Wasn't that his name?
Rodney or Charlie? It doesn't matter.
That
Fun
was
guy,
the-
though.
That was the night Brandon pulled up to my downtown apartment. And he was in the valet, and he said, "Come on down, I got a limo." I'm like, "Cool." He goes, "And a homeless guy." I'm like, "Not cool." Why don't, and I get in the limo, and it's Brandon. There's a bunch of babes in bikinis, and just a homeless dude just sitting there, big smile, grinning ear to ear. It was entertaining.
Just giving back to the community, man. That's what we do.
You were exploiting a homeless guy, but okay.
Giving him a free ride, man.
You were making fun of him.
Dude, we had about 20 people lined up at that limo wanting to jump in, and he's the lucky one that I chose. Yeah. We were at the beer store down there in South Dallas, dude, and they really were lined up.
Did you buy him any liquor? I don't remember. Did you buy him any?
We bought tons of liquor, and I at that store, people started gathering around us, and I was buying people dinner and all sorts of fun stuff. And
That was a fun night. Where did we go?
we went to
the
Inside the Huddle.
That's right, at the House of Blues.
House of Blues,
We were going to
correct.
the House of Blues.
Then we ended up going to karaoke and all sorts of fun stuff. But
yeah, that was
it was a rough night, man.
That was a fun night.
Yeah, I do drink occasionally, man. I've been known to have a drink here and there.
Never seen you. I don't want to see you drunk, and this isn't a knock against you. It's just that I'm used to you being a certain way, and I depend on you being a certain way, and I don't want to see you drunk.
My life's pretty chaotic without drinking or drugs. I don't really need that edge to get there. You know what I'm saying? You know why I came in here? I heard you talking about Lane, and anytime that Big Dave show pops up, I just feel like I got to jump in and be involved in here.
By the way, great show last night. Big Dave did a great show, I thought. You should check it out on the podcast. You can find it there at thebarlive.com.
As always, a good little train wreck in between.
Yeah. Mel, the Australian girl they have on the show, she was wigged out of her mind on painkillers. And she was like, whenever the cameras were off or whenever we were in a break, she was like, had her head down. And
Then her husband calls in and starts threatening Lane, like seriously threatening Lane to kick his ass.
Yeah.
That was good. That was good stuff.
That was good. All right. So you can hear those. And by the way, also YNR is up there at thebarlive.com. All right, moving on. Next story here. We've got big news here in the Manson family murders. Have you seen this? There's new evidence, apparently. And it's going down. They're going to find out. This is where we're going to find. In a Plano courthouse today, we're going to learn.
Manson?
Charles Manson. That's right. It says here, new evidence possible in Manson family murders. LAPD requests audio recordings of attorney Bill Boyd talking to his then client, Charles Tex Watson. Of course, we all know Tex Watson. He was Charles Manson's right-hand guy and the guy that actually led the raids on, Abigail Folger's house, which killed Sharon Tate. Who was the other one?
Blancasi or something?
LaBianco. Yeah, the LaBianco. Very good. Yeah, that was good. Yeah, the LaBianco murders. Tex Watson. Charles Manson sat at home at the ranch and told his minions, go out and do this. And Tex went with a bunch of chicks, and they went and they killed all of these people. Now, Tex's attorney is a Plano-based attorney who recently has been his attorney for a long time and had recently filed for bankruptcy, or I think he died and they liquidated the estate or something like that. But within the estate, there are recorded phone conversations between Tex Watson and his then attorney. This guy, is it Bill Boyd? Trying to make sure. Yeah, Bill Boyd. LAPD wants these recordings because apparently they discuss other unsolved murders that have not been pinned on the Manson family that Tex Watson apparently cops to. So what they can do, these guys are still alive. These guys are in jail.
Is that him?
That is Tex Watson. That's Charles
the other
Watson
guy
right
next to
there.
him?
That's Charles Manson.
With no hair.
Oh, well, here, look at him. He's an old man now.
Man, I've seen him just like 10 years ago, and he had hair and crazy looking. He looks like some guy from the Philippines or something.
He looks
like a Taliban.
It's almost odd to say that Charles Manson looks even crazier, but he did.
Right.
He's
No,
looking
actually, I
even
think he looks
crazier.
less crazy.
You do?
He said that crazy hair going everywhere, like he, plugged his like Einstein kind of hair going.
He looks like an evil Harry Potter character.
He looks like he's part of like an evil Taliban type person.
By the way, I gotta say, I don't know who did the swastika tattoo in the middle of his forehead, but it's held up well over the last 40 years.
Very good
It
artwork.
looks good. Yeah, it's still there. You know that was just carved into his forehead.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Some jailhouse. He did that for court. He
know,
wanted
he-
to give a good impression
he
for
makes-
court,
he
so he
makes
carved a
lots of-
swastika into his forehead.
He makes very interesting art pieces in jail.
Charles Manson?
Yes.
Does he really?
Yeah, very nice stuff.
I think if I was in jail, I'd become an artist too. You got a lot of time to kill. Why not paint, draw?
Yeah.
There's
Right?
There's some creative. In fact, a guy that killed his wife here locally was a major story back in the '90s. Okay, was one of my cellmates at one time. And
Wait a second, cellmates? I don't think you've ever established that you were in jail before.
Yeah, I've said I've been arrested before.
Okay, well, not here. So you were.
So anyway, I was.
Oh, you were arrested for something.
I was his cellie, and he'd killed his wife. Woke up, little bitty guy, dude, and he was all over the news. I get thrown in the cell, and there he is. And I collected some of his art pieces, and somehow they got lost. I tried to loan to a friend, but I thought it was like, this might be worth something one day. Kind of like the guy that did the clowns. Who was that? Gacy.
John Wayne Gacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I thought it's amazing. They'll take M&Ms and Jolly Ranchers and make all sorts of artistic, cool stuff. They're real big into envelopes.
Envelopes? What do you mean envelopes?
When you mail out your, envelopes, like when you mail something out, they're pre-stamped.
Sure.
And a lot of the inmates, to earn extra money, will decorate those envelopes up and then sell them for like $1, and it includes the postage. And that's how they make their money for their commissary.
So who's buying these envelopes?
People like myself that had money, because I ran a commissary inside the jail.
Wait a second. Oh, so they're selling the envelopes to other prisoners to then send their letters out in nicely decorated envelopes.
Yes.
Time to decorate your own envelope? I mean, you're in prison.
I suck. I'm not artsy. I can barely draw. I can't draw. So I made money inside jail, and I would take the money and I'd buy stuff, kind of spread the wealth around, and buy stuff from those guys who did odds and end favors.
All right, that makes sense to me. Here's the story. 8 hours of audio never before heard by law enforcement has been requested by the Los Angeles Police Department, and it could link followers of the Manson family to unsolved murders. In a letter dated March 19th, Los Angeles Police Department Chief Charlie Beck requested 8 hours or so of audio recordings between attorney Bill Boyd and his then client Charles Tex Watson. Watson, the former right-hand man of Charles Manson, is currently serving a life sentence for his involvement in the 1969 Manson family murders. Although the LAPD has yet to receive the recordings, police believe the interviews could contain information about unsolved murders. The Los Angeles Police Department has information that Mr. Watson discussed additional unsolved murders committed by followers of Charles Manson. Let's see. The LAPD's request corresponds to the liquidation of Boyd's Texas-based law firm as part of a bankruptcy proceeding. Boyd, who died in 2009, represented Watson beginning in '69 and for some time thereafter. It is requested that the original recordings be given to the Los Angeles Police Department in order to determine if information regarding unsolved murders was included in the recordings. A bankruptcy court hearing, this is where it gets cool, a bankruptcy court hearing is scheduled for Tuesday in Plano. I like that. I like that whenever, things right around here.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, so
get
next
stuck
Tuesday?
in the middle. Mm-hmm.
Wow, I mean, the Bar Live should be there, be part of
Broadcasting
this.
live.
Can we do that?
Yeah, we could.
I love the Manson story. I mean, it's horrible what happened, but we all followed Manson, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And remember when Geraldo did a thing
Hold
with
on,
him?
stop. Let's figure this out, because this is our childhood was filled. We're relatively the same age.
Okay.
There was a much greater awareness. Jimmy, are you completely up on the whole Charles Manson and Manson family murders thing?
I know, the main story. I don't know all the intricacies of, who was with
Tell me
who
what you know.
and,
Tell me what your running knowledge of the Manson family is.
Mainly just little tidbits on top of the fact that he was just like this crazed guy who started like a small cult essentially. And
how many people did Charles Manson kill?
If I had to guess, 100.
0.
100.
Oh no, I'm talking about how he responsible.
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Wow, that's a trick question.
Yeah,
I'll walk you into that. Yeah, he didn't kill anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Which, quite honestly, if he had a little scratch, a little more money, and a good attorney, he probably could have walked on this.
Did you know that he was connected to the Beach Boys? He was really good friends with Brian from the Beach Boys. Did you know that,
was.
Jimmy?
No,
Mm-hmm.
no, I
Yeah,
did
he's
not know that.
as a guy that's into the musical and the culture, you should check into this. You'd probably get a kick out of it.
It wasn't Brian, however. It wasn't Brian Wilson that he was friends with. No, yeah, it was Dennis Wilson. It was Brian's brother, the drummer, who became embroiled with. Actually, that's why Okay, it's funny you bring that up. The reason that Abigail Folger's home was raided by the Manson family, that's where pregnant Sharon Tate, the actress and wife of director Roman Polanski, was murdered, pregnant, and the baby was murdered, everybody. The reason that home was targeted by the Manson family was a mistake.
That used to be the manager.
It used to be Terry Meltzer's house. Terry Meltzer, who was the record producer who got the Beach Boys to distance themselves from this crazy Manson guy. Manson thought his record career was going to take off. He thought he was going to be a rock star. And Terry Meltzer, who was the manager producer of the Beach Boys, went, are you guys insane? This guy is out of his mind. Dennis, you are on so many drugs, you think this guy is the Messiah. I mean, Dennis Wilson was essentially, for a period of time, a member of the Manson family, and he was a Beach Boy. So Charles was using Dennis and his connections to sort of bolster his own, my career, I'm going to be a huge star. So they raided Terry Meltzer's home. They were going to murder Terry Meltzer, and it turned out that he had sold that home, and they were unaware of it. And Abigail Folger, the heir to the Folgers instant coffee fortune, she had moved in, and her friend, actress Sharon Tate, was staying there that weekend, and that's how they all got killed.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a total mistake, total accident.
That's intense. And now his son is trying to take up his footsteps.
Yeah, we talked about
whose son?
Charles Manson's son. We talked about his creepy kid.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, just a couple of weeks back.
I missed that interview.
Like that.
I missed all about that. I need to check into that.
He's basically some guy who his mom told him that she had sex with Charles Manson at an orgy in like 1968 or something like that, and he then started corresponding with Charles Manson, and he believes that Manson was the father.
You know what I appreciate?
And he looks exactly like Charles Manson. I mean, not just the long hair and stuff. I mean, the face. They did just side-by-side face comparisons. They look it's obvious. It's like when people look at my 3-year-old son and they go, oh my God, he's totally you. I mean, I don't see it, but everybody says it. It's like that. It's like you can tell when people come from the same chromosomes, the same genes, the same, I totally believe that dude is Manson's kid.
The thing I appreciate most about the entire story, though, is that if Charles Manson was to produce an offspring, it better have been done during an orgy. Like, that really does make the story. I mean, if I was to write a book where somebody was to become Charles Manson's son and restart the entire thing, it would start like that. That's exactly how I would start out that story.
How jacked up are you if you find out that your mom not only had an orgy with Charles Manson, but he may have provided half of your DNA?
Oh, that would just tell. If it was me, I would be affected, and I would fall into that role.
Well, this guy's trying to be a rock star. I don't know what I would use that. I mean, I guess if I was sane, because you never know. I mean, Charles Manson, he might have passed down that crazy gene. But if I was altogether sane and I knew that I was Charles, I would use it. I would figure out a way to use it, I'd do a radio show, and I'd get the job because people would go, hey, do you hear that guy? He's Charles Manson's son. But no, he's really cool. He's funny. It'd be like that.
We need to talk to him and see if we can't talk him into a radio show.
Yes.
It could be all about like a little something about my dad and me. You know what I mean?
All in the family.
Instead of what would Jesus do, what would Dad do?
Yeah.
It'd be Charles Manson.
Yeah, but Charles Manson cut off all contact with him. Don't want to have anything to do with him. Yeah, Charles Manson's weird. They were having sort of a nice correspondence, and then suddenly Charles Manson broke bad on him.
He's worried about child support. Back child support.
Yeah, probably. Although your mom, although it wasn't his real mom, it was his adoptive mother that he tracked down years later, and then found all this stuff. But man, that's a bad. Hey, good news, bad news. I found my biological mother. Bad news, she told me that I'm the son of Charles Manson.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
It's a bit of blowback.
Yeah.
Any one of us could make this, it'd be kind of hard for me. Any one of us could make this claim, right? Any one of us could do that.
Yeah.
Even though you have a mom, but you could still claim it. Like, no, it's not my real mom. And we would all be on the news right now if we did that, right?
No, because they would vet you. They would find this guy. This guy had letters. This guy had corresponded with Manson. Manson actually admitted to this guy that I knew your mother, and we had this thing. I mean, it was so there's a little bit more back. You can't just call up the news.
Well,
and go, hey, I'm Charles
we
Manson's
could all do
son.
a little bit of research and find somebody out there connection, and maybe if we tried hard enough, and maybe connect
you
the
have
dots.
no respect for journalism. They would not run that story.
I'm asking. I don't.
We would get vetted, and we would be completely.
I'm not saying I want to do it.
eliminated.
I'm asking. Is it something that could be done?
No.
Okay.
Oh, It can be done, yeah. You can claim it and you can hold a press conference, but no one will come unless you have some real evidence that will interest them.
Okay.
But simply saying...
So this guy has some pretty good evidence.
Oh, yeah. It's
Okay.
and not only that, but he looks exactly like... That's the striking thing. That's why most people are really drawn to this particular story, because he has the same jaw, the same nose, the same sunken, dark, scary eyes. I mean, he looks like him. That's not genetic, but yes, you're right. It would be good if maybe he went with the swastika.
And who knows if it was like real or anything like that, but that one moment when he was like, you don't understand what's going on in my brain.
He's a creepy guy, I don't know.
In all fairness, if he was to show up, he wouldn't be on our show. He'd be on the Big Dave show.
That's right. Yeah.
He would fit in better.
Big Dave would probably know him. They probably run in the same circles or something like. Or Lane. Lane and Charles Manson's son used to run a chop shop together.
He's actually Lane's news source.
Yes, for presidential history. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We've still got a bunch of stuff to get to today. Got a good douche tournament, and we'll do that when we come back. Could God be today's douche?
Oh.
Let's find out. We'll be back. It's thebarlive.com. PMS. All right, it's thebarlive.com, PMS, the Pugs Moran Show for a Friday afternoon. Don't forget, come one, come all. Join us on Sunday, 3 to 6. We'll be out there at the Back Nine. The Back Nine, conveniently located right there on Beltline Road in the heart of Addison, Texas. be out there 3 to 6. We'll be doing a gangbang broadcast. That's members of all of the shows out here on the Bar Live will be out there. I'll be representing this show, although I'll be kind of trucking around with my kid. It's Memorial Day weekend, so we'll be having fun. So I'm not going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting, but I'll be out there. I'll grab a mic. One of his babysitters is going to be out there, so she's going to play with him for a while, and there'll be other kids out there. So we're good. So come one, come all. We'll have a good time. And it's, like I said, it's Memorial Day weekend. You got nothing to do on Monday, so come on out. Mm-hmm. Although my kid better have fun because he is going to be mad. We are going to spend so much time. I mean, my kid learned to swim. Oh, he's so awesome. He is so... Kids, Jimmy, I know you can't really appreciate this and you don't have kids, but just... I'm going to get weepy here. When you see this thing that you created that not too long ago was this completely helpless, couldn't feed itself, didn't have the coordination to put his hand in his mouth. I mean, it was just crazy. Yeah. Couldn't see more than 3 feet because his eyes hadn't focused. I mean, when you go from that, and then over the course of time, you start seeing your kid do stuff, you're like, oh, that is so awesome. For instance, my kid loves to swim. I don't know if I told you this story, but he fell in a lake. Did I tell this story? Mm-hmm. Great picture of it. He has a duck friend. Actually, it's a swan. The swan's name is Wallace. And we go to this lake, and we feed Wallace, and, he throws popcorn, and Wallace comes right up to him. We're not at the point where Wallace is eating out of his hand yet, because I won't allow it. But if I were to allow it, Wallace would eat right out of his hand. So Wallace got spooked by something and turned and ran down this hill. And Mason's chasing after him with goldfish. You know those little cheese goldfish? Mm-hmm. And he's throwing the goldfish at him as he's running away. And he's like, Wallace, come back. Wallace, come back. And Wallace jumps in the water. And it was on a hill. And one of the things that kids don't learn about until they fall in a lake, and that is momentum and head speed. The kid was running head first, head heavy, down a hill towards a lake, throwing cheese crackers at a duck, a swan, and then when he got to the edge, he didn't stop soon enough, and he went splash right in the lake.
Wow.
It was horrifying. It was horrifying. For a split second, it was absolutely horrifying because it's not a shallow lake. It's definitely over his head, and he went under. I mean, he fell right over the edge. And it's not a beach either. It's not like a gradual lake. It's a cement
drop.
Yeah, a cement brick, really nice brick. It's a Highland Park lake pond. So it's like a brick barrier. And he got to the brick barrier and he stopped and he toppled over and he went right in. Now, I ran right behind him and I did this thing because I taught him to swim last year. I taught him how to tread water. And he fell under the water. He popped right back up. It's not like he went under and I was like, okay, I'm going to give him 5 seconds and I'm going to react. No, he went under, but then he popped right back up, and he didn't panic. He was scared. He was going like, and I'm like, move your arms, move your leg. I could have reached out and grabbed him and pulled him out, but I wanted to make sure that he could tread water to save his own life, and he did. He did. It was awesome.
That has to be amazing. I mean, because you're.
I taught him that. It was awesome, and and it saved his life. Well, not really, because I would have grabbed him out of there anyway. But it was neat to see.
That is. So
anyway, we started swimming again because the weather got nice. And he used to not go into the pool, which is a great thing, by the way. He doesn't go into. He knows that there's. I told him that there are monsters in the pool that will get him if he goes in without his mommy or his daddy, or someone that mommy or daddy has taken him into the pool with. Because you don't want a kid getting too close to the edge of a pool. You don't. First of all, when he's at the pool with me, I'm always with him. But last week, I was talking with some people, and we were sitting on this little chair. Table set up by the pool, with the umbrella, and people sit out there and hang out. And he was running around, and he had his water wings on, and he had an inner tube. And he's pacing back and forth. And I'm like, Mace, you want to go in the water? And he's like, yeah, Dad, I want to go in the water. Come on, Dad, I want to go in the water. And I'm like, no, I think you're completely safetied up. Let me see if you can get in the water by yourself. He's like, no. He was scared to death, right? And so I had to walk up to the edge of the pool, and I did this thing. I go, oh, abracadabra, monsters go! And I go, see, there's no monsters in there. I just scared them all away. And he believes it. He totally thinks I have this power, So he's like, there's no monsters? I'm like, nah, no monsters. And you as long as you have those things on, those floaties and everything, I go, you can put your feet in, you can stay in the shallow end, and you can float there. He goes, the monsters won't get you because they're afraid of those things. You make up the most creative stories with kids, just to get them to do what you want them to.
And you remember, you believe everything, because I remember the one that I remember that my dad used to do with me was the red lights. he'd be able to count down until it turned green. And I would look at him every once in a while. I'd be like, man, good thing I'm around you, because we never have to wait for anything.
Right. And he's really just looking at the other light going yellow.
Yeah.
Well, we do this thing. We have gates where we live, access gates. And on my steering wheel, there's a little clip thing, a little button that I hit, you know, to open the gates. And I have him believing that I can't open the gates without him. So he has to say, like when we're driving, I'll have my hand on the button and I'll go, Mason, will you please open the gate? And he'll go, open the gate. And I'll hit the button and it'll open. I'm like, thank you. I've been trapped here all week. I need you to get me into the gate. We do that with the garage door too. He thinks that he's the only one that can open the garage door. Open the garage door. And I hit the button and it opens.
Do you ever hear him trying when he's not supposed to be opening it?
No, he did. We were walking the dog. We were walking the dog and I didn't have the garage door open on me. And we walked past our garage and he stops and he goes, open the garage door. Open the garage door. And it's not opening. And I walked up to him and I told him, I go, I don't know, what's wrong with you, man? He's like, it won't open. Open the garage door. I'm like, what, are you okay? Are you feeling sick? And I'm feeling his head. I'm like, Mason, something's wrong. It's not working for you. You better go to sleep early tonight and be a good boy. Maybe that power will come back. That kind of thing.
Funny how everything always works out to your advantage with these little things. Like the monsters are never like blocking the TV if like you need to see something.
Right, exactly. He'll get even with me around 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. He'll get even. He'll have plenty of years to get even with me and do all kinds of horrible things that'll drive me nuts.
That is true.
But okay, so he's swimming now, which is awesome, and that's why I say he's going to be pissed that we're going to go to the back nine. Although he'll probably enjoy it, but it'll cut into his pool time. Yeah, he's gonna be like, we're gonna have to leave the pool early to go to the back nine. Which we'll see how that goes. I'm sure he'll be all right with that. I'll tell him there'll be motorcycles there. Kid loves motorcycles.
Yeah.
And he loves some of the he's friends with some of the, he's friendly with some of the, he likes some of them. So some of the bikini girls. I'm like, will so-and-so be there? Yeah, she will. He knows the bikini models better than I do. Because they're more interested in him than they are me.
Yeah.
They pay more attention to him.
I did notice that he was gravitating towards a lot of the bikini models. So I was like, good for him.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care what he is, orientation-wise. But it doesn't seem like he's gay. It seems like he's attracted to boobs. He really is. He seems to be attracted to boobs.
Yeah, because I'll tell you one person he wasn't interested in, me. So he could care less.
Yeah, but you don't have that kid warmth.
No, I don't. I'm very cold towards,
I didn't either until 3 years ago. I didn't. We had talked about this. I think I'd only held a baby once or twice in my entire life. Every time someone tried to get me to hold a baby, I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Don't want to be responsible.
The feeling is definitely mutual, though, because every once in a while, because if I go up to a kid, I'll try to be nice in front of people. I'll be like, "Oh, give me a 5," and more than half of the time, they just look at me and walk away. Like they don't want anything to do with my high fives. So
nothing to do with you.
Yeah,
they get a bad vibe from you.
Yeah.
Kids know you're not interested. All right, a couple of stories here. Let me see. We're going to do our little douche tournament. We do this each and every day. We try and determine who the biggest douche is. Today I've only got 2, but that's okay because they're good too. Oh, actually, wait, I got 3, I think. Let me see. Blum, 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 blum. Yeah, we'll start with this one. Okay, here's our first candidate for douche of the day. We're talking about artists. Man, I've got a respect for artists. But sometimes insanity masquerades as artistry, Sometimes just, insane people become artists. And it's not like they're artists who happen to be a little bit weird. No, they're just really weird people who are now artists. They're weird first before they do the whole art thing. But then there are other artists who are a little bit eccentric in their actual art. But in most cases, or in many cases, with these more over-the-top sort of art exhibitions and stuff, the people are just crazy. They're just nuts. Here's an example of someone who calls himself an artist, but in reality, oh man, he is. There's no reason. There's no reason for this guy to exist. There's no reason. I'm sorry. There's just no reason.
But he's an artist. That's his reason for existence, right?
I'm gonna give you the headline on this. Okay. Japanese artist cooks and serves his own genitals.
I'm already not liking
That's
this
right.
guy.
That's what he did. A Japanese artist had his genitals surgically removed. First of all, how do you even do that? Can I do that in America? Can I go to a doctor and say, I'm done with these. The twig and berries, get rid of all of them. I don't need them anymore.
I think that's something you have to take a trip for.
He claims that, like Mexico or something like that. They'll do it there. He claims that he is asexual, ex-gender, he calls it. And, there's all of this awareness about homosexuality and acceptance of alternative lifestyles. But what about us? What about us who don't even want our genitals, who don't even want to be male or female? We're ex-gender. We're both. Oh, shut up. Come on. This discussion is 1,000 years away. We're still working out the homosexual ends. Can we just please table this kind of nonsense?
And it's not even a conversation that we have to have. This, if you're not going to use it, it's a lot like a belly button. And I don't need to go around talking to people about how I'm not planning on using it so you can fill that in. Can we just fill that in and I cannot be judged because I like to fill in mine?
I'm going to have my nipples removed because I don't need them.
Yeah.
Because I'm a man. There is no reason. It's another thing.
It's not an issue.
It's another thing about God. We're going to get to God in a second here. But if God is so perfect, why do men have nipples? Seriously, why do men have... All right, I'm going to go along with many of you and say, all right, God exists. Did he screw up? Did he screw up with the nipples on the man? There is no reason a man needs nipples, biologically speaking.
Well, fundamentally, we're everything flawed. What's the tailbone all about? Why'd you make a son that gives us cancer? Why'd you do... there's so many different things.
I guess you can.
That you can say, yeah, there's just so many different flaws with us.
But I've always wondered about the main flaw in the male physique is the nipples. They're useless. And don't we also have organs that we have no need for? Like in the appendix, completely, we don't need the appendix at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just there taking up space. You know what it is? The appendix is the packing corn of internal organs. It's just there to hold everything else in place. They need to stick something in there so that the liver would stay in place and the gallbladder would stay in place. So they just created this appendix and just put it in there.
Basically leftovers.
Yeah, just leftovers. Filler. All right, here's a story. A Japanese artist cooked his own genitals and served them to 5 paying diners. That's right, people paid high dollar to eat this man's genitals. The Japanese are insane.
I know.
This is what happens when you get 2 nuclear bombs dropped on you. You start to look at the world in a whole nother way. Why? Because you've survived Armageddon. Because Armageddon has already come to you. You've seen the worst possible thing that can happen to your society, and you're just outer limits from that point forward. Nothing scares you anymore.
Yeah, a lot of times, like in developed countries, they'll be like, "Oh man, you should really think outside the box a bit more." In Japan, they're like, "Back in the box, back in the box,
back in the box, you crazy Japanese! You guys aren't outside the box. You guys are outside. You guys are, get back in the box is the best way to put it." You crazy Japanese, sleeping in your drawers. Have you seen this? These Japanese, commuter beds. Here we have, the 4-hour nap hotels and all that. In Japan, they just have, these things that look like... They actually look to me, because when I saw it on the news, I went, well, that looks like a You Mail It place. Where you go into a You Mail It place and you got a bunch of... You go in there... And you give the guy $1 and you get in a coffin and they roll you into a drawer and you sleep there for an hour or 2 or whatever.
And then on top of that, there are convenience machines that they have set up. There will be panties,
panties.
You
can get used panties from vending machines. See, this is what happens when you get 2 nuclear bombs dropped on you. You just go out there. I love that. Hey, Japan, get back in the box. That's right. That's they need to get back in the box.
Yeah.
Mao Sugiyama had his penis and testicles surgically removed in March and kept them frozen for 2 months before dishing them out. Seasoned and braised, of course, to customers at an event hall on May 13th. Diners paid 20,000 yen. How much do you think that is in American dollars?
25,000?
No, 20,000 yen.
20,000. Theirs is a little bit less than ours, right?
So it's $250. It equates to 250 American dollars.
Oh wow, that's gonna be way off. Yeah. Okay.
For the plate, they paid diners paid $250 for the plate with a portion of genitals. Pictures published on a website appeared to show the meal came with mushrooms and parsley garnish. That's a rough swallow. Who would? First of all, here's my problem with it. It's cannibalism.
Yeah.
You don't eat human flesh ever under any circumstances. That you want to totally break down society? Let's start eating human flesh. Are you kidding me, Japan? Back in the box.
That's one of the few things. I'm trying to think of other things that somebody could tell me. I mean, like, I murdered somebody one time. I may not want to hang out with this man. I once ate somebody's genitals. That's worse.
Dude, unless your plane went down in the Andes and you had to eat the stewardess to survive, I don't want to hear it. And even if that's your situation, I know you went through hell. I don't want to know the gory details. I don't want to know about how you had to eat another human being.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same respect that I gave my grandpa about the war, you know? Just like, oh, that must have been bad. Let's move on.
Let's move on. I don't need to know what you did in the war.
Yeah.
The painter, who was reportedly 22 years old, oh good, he waited till later in life to make a serious decision like having your genitals removed.
Man.
It's 22. You think he's gonna... Some people get tattoos at 22 that they regret at 40. You think this guy's gonna regret having his genitals surgically removed and then served to customers for $250 a pop?
You know, this is karma coming right back to him because, you know, he's this asexual asshole, which I really don't believe that fully exists. I mean, like, you have to have drive for something. So immediately he's going to be bitch slapped with a reminder of how non-asexual he is.
That's right. That's right.
As he walks around wishing he could use genitals.
He's got nothing. He's got nothing. The meal was prepared under the supervision of a certified cook. Oh, good. So it wasn't weird. There was a certified cook there.
Yeah.
Good. And diners were required to sign a waiver indemnifying Sugiyama and event organizers. Event organizers. Like, there were people involved. There were people who signed off on this and said, yeah, I'll be involved in that. Good Lord.
Sometimes I think I got a tough sell for people, you know?
Yeah, really. Hey, there is no excuse. If this guy could get people to pay $250 to eat his junk, we should be able to sell some spots. There's no reason that this guy can get that done, but we can't get our end done.
Maybe we could actually use that as a teaser. Look at these people. They just bought this for $250. That's a man's genitals.
You can have an entire month of advertising, and you don't have to eat my junk. In May 18th tweets, the artist said steps were taken so that the act met all relevant laws, including a ban on organ sales, processing of medical waste, and even food sanitation requirements. He's quoted now, I received questions from some women and men asking, will there be a next time? Please host it again. But there is only one set of male organ, he tweeted on May 16th. Unfortunately, I have no plans for a next time. Sugiyama, go ahead.
This guy, I remember there was this naked guy that laid in a tree last year in France. And he was obviously on hallucinogens. He wouldn't say a word, and people started calling it art. You know? And I was really pissed off at that guy.
They were calling it art.
Yeah, he didn't say anything. It was obvious that this guy is completely gone. But they called it art, and I thought that he was the artist that I hated most in this world. And he's just been...
Now he's been trumped?
He has.
Yes. All right. Sugiyama, who considers himself asexual, that is, without gender, initially thought about eating the genitals himself. Ugh. I can't even. Hold on.
Yeah.
I gotta get that out of my mind or I'm gonna start gagging.
Jeez.
But he decided to solicit paying customers to help pay his hospital bills for the surgery. I have this horrible gag reflex when I start thinking about something. It's like when my eyes start to water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, moving on. In an email to AFP, he confirmed the event taking place. Sorry. Oh God, it's going now. I can't do this.
Oh, I feel like I need to get away just in case this thing.
I rarely. Oh God. I rarely vomit. It's all just dry heaves. I can't do this. Oh, thank you. All right, no, I'm good. But thank you. That's very important. This is why I say we need paper towels in here. It's just going to take a couple of minutes for me to work through this.
All right.
Okay. Sorry.
This is worse than the Big Day Show. What the hell's going on, Jimmy? Let him excuse. Pugs, you can be excused from the room for a little bit, dude. Jimmy, what happened? What'd I miss?
We were talking a little bit about a young artist in Japan.
Eating his own genitals. I heard part of that.
Yeah. And
he's relating to it, and he's getting sick. Oh, my God. Look at this guy. Look at the redness in his face right now. Bless his heart. And so basically what happened, he just thought about it and it made him sick.
Oh, that just happens all the time. I was afraid. I knew this was going to happen.
So when he talks about genitals, he gets sick to the stomach.
No, when I talk about anything that makes me ill or is disgusting.
Look at him, dude. He is just... Wow.
Oh, man.
Keep your throw up thing around. Get away from me first of all. Keep that.
The worst part is that I have like
Get out of the
that
room. Go to the
reaction.
bathroom.
Yeah. Because you're going to make me puke now.
Look at him. He's just trying to hang on there. He's trying to go through the broadcast.
Can you give me like a solo cup filled with water or something? Just a little something I can.
You don't want to use your dip cup?
No. Oh, no. Police in Tokyo said they knew of the.
Oh.
Damn it!
Should I take over the story?
Yes. God damn it!
This is crazy, dude. Just go leave the room, dude. We got the show for a minute, man.
It's not gonna last.
Look at him. Does part of you want him to throw up a little bit, Jimmy?
The chat room is definitely
Wow, dude.
definitely on board that.
Enjoy, chat room. Enjoy. Here.
Did you throw up a little in that bag? Nothing?
Just a little.
Just a little bit?
A little spittle. Just a little.
Maybe a little bit up your throat and you pulled it back
Yeah,
down?
don't touch it. Oh, okay. All right, we're good. Police in Tokyo said they knew of the episode, but added that it had not broken a law as cannibalism was not illegal in Japan. We are.
Look
All
at
right,
him. You
take
can't
a break.
get- Jimmy,
Seriously,
you
we're
can't
done.
get this.
Okay.
Yeah, little throw up break here. Get your bag ready, dude. What are you doing? Are we on?
Mm-hmm.
For those watching, Pugs had to excuse himself during his live show because he thought about men's testicles.
Well, being eaten, which is understandable.
Dude, I think something tragic happened in his childhood and that he hasn't talked about at this point.
No, I don't think that that's what it is. I think that just trying to get through that subject matter is very difficult. I have a weak
But
stomach
I'm not
too.
throwing. I have a very weak stomach. I'm not throwing up thinking about it. But maybe he can visually see something that occurred.
Yeah, I think that if you have to visualize what that is, and if you're trying to make it funny, you have to visualize what you're talking about, and that's really hard to stomach. Like, I'm glad that he ended up leaving because I know that I probably would have been in unison.
But you're only going to throw up because he's throwing up, right? You weren't going to throw up just because of the thought of the testicles, were you?
Well, because of the thought of eating testicles, of course. Yeah, that's very hard to stomach. If you're
Okay.
thinking about actually the process of eating testicles, does that come off natural to you?
But why did he process that thought? What made him like start visualizing that?
Because if you're trying to really get your arm around the story, you have to
Or
visualize
your
what
mouth,
it would be like.
mouth around at this point.
Well, nobody's putting your mouth around anything. I mean, like, unless you got testicles in the kitchen that he's supposed to be eating next.
Yeah, man, he just really took that story to heart there. It got down in his soul. So, have you ever had this happen? Someone start throwing up on live on?
Yeah, definitely. He has, a couple times.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
right, it's thebarlive.com PMS, the Pugs Moran Show for a Friday afternoon. All right, I'm okay. Had a little. That was a disgusting story. We won't talk about it. It was our candidate number one for the douche contest was a guy who did some. He cooked his genitals and he served it to people and they ate it.
And Autumn 1206. I know that we're gonna go into the other guys that are gonna be trying to make the claim to douche of the day, but
our douche candidates.
Yes, I'd say that the Japanese artist has to be the winner because of how sick he made Pugs just reading the story. So.
Well, that's interesting because I may nominate God for this next one. And douche candidate number 2, I'm just going to read you this story. This comes to us from the great Canadian Northwest.
Okay.
Canadian Pacific Rail employees searching for an Alberta man who had just been run over by a train were shocked to find him unhurt underneath the 26th car. So 26 train cars ran over this guy, and he was completely unharmed. He was not hurt at all. In fact, he was sleeping. The man had apparently passed out drunk on the tracks and couldn't hear the oncoming train, nor the conductor's horn. Luckily, by the way, can I just say this about train travel? Can we work on the whole problem with trains never being able to stop? Can we work on that? Doesn't that seem like a flaw?
It has, the whole rail industry really has kind of overstepped, how little they have to keep moving.
It's archaic. It's archaic if you are stopped in traffic trying to get home watching 150 cars go. You can't make them go under. You can't build a bridge. Traffic should never be impeded by trains anymore. It's 2012 for crying out loud.
But they're very, they want everything there because they were there first. That's basically the way it's been put.
Well, they got the infrastructure. The tracks are all laid.
Yeah.
They're already there. It's such an old-timey way.
It is. Sometimes you have to sit in traffic to watch the 1800s roll by.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But they can't stop.
No.
They don't stop. That seems like a major flaw, especially if you're going to be running these things through, public areas, neighborhoods, and towns. They should be. Or how about this? How about something better and more restricting than that stupid arm? That simple arm. If the thing going by doesn't stop, maybe there ought to be some insurances that you will before you go into that thing, right? Mm-hmm. Couldn't they do a fence? Couldn't it be like a fence that comes down, like a net that would catch you before you would go in? They're not even thinking about it.
No.
They don't care about the people who get killed by trains.
Yeah.
Because you know what? I don't care about people who get hit by trains either. If you get hit by a train, you're an idiot. It's what, you can't hear it coming?
You are supposed to be really on top of your game when you're around train tracks. I think that, I'm surely...
Oh, yeah, you are.
Yeah, I'm not the only one who's, really freaked out. If all of a sudden I realize that the person in front of me isn't going to go any further and now I'm on the tracks.
Oh, that's awful. That is the worst feeling ever. Yeah. I've had that happen to me a couple of times. Oh.
Your survival instincts pick up and you're like, all right, I'm finding a way out of here. I will go into the grass if I need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for somebody to not have those instincts and just sit there and wait to get hit.
I don't get the inbreds in the pickup trucks that go around the gates. Have you seen these guys? All right, I get it. There's nothing right now, and these gates seem to be stopped. But just don't tempt fate.
Right.
What's going to happen? Seriously, you know why we can't have these super cool European and Japanese bullet trains? Because there's too many people that go around the gates here. That's why too many people don't respect the power of the locomotive.
Yeah. And they don't have to go near as fast to do as much damage. But you're right. If we had those light rails, people would...
No way!
It would be a mess.
Well, you know what the problem in Europe right now is with those high-speed rail lines? Mm-hmm. Farmers are losing their shit over it because all of their cattle are getting killed. Their cattle are grazing on these lands, and they're walk across the track, and then this train comes by at 300 miles an hour and just decimates the cows.
Wow.
It's a real problem.
Jesus.
I
can imagine, yeah.
All right, and so now we got this guy, this drunk in Canada. If you're going to pass out, why are you passing out on train tracks? Why do you choose train tracks to lay down on?
Yeah. He is drunk, though. Sometimes.
Is he drunk and suicide? I've been drunk, but I wouldn't go to sleep on train. I still, no matter how drunk I've ever been, I know not to go to sleep on trains. This looks comfortable. Oh, this is nice. It's a nice steel beam. I'm going to rest my head on. What are you doing?
I don't know. But, maybe he didn't intend on falling asleep. He was just, kind of enjoying himself and then nodded off.
It just happened to fall asleep while he was on the tracks.
I don't know. I'm trying to. Obviously, this guy is not, going to win off of survival instincts, like Darwinian survival instincts. But
here's what he was doing. He was walking down the tracks because the tracks lead somewhere. And hobos, when they're out in the middle of nowhere, you don't just wander through the woods willy-nilly. You find train tracks and you walk down train tracks because they will lead you to civilization eventually. You know that for a fact.
It's like a river when you want to go downstream.
Yep.
Yeah.
Always get out, take the river. The river's going to take you somewhere. Don't just wander around in the great wilderness. There's bears up there in Canada. There's all kinds of things up there. The man had apparently passed out drunk on the tracks and couldn't hear the oncoming train. After he eventually came to, the man simply got up, grabbed his beer, and headed on his way. There's been tragic stories in the past of people passing out on railway tracks and they lose limbs or their lives, said Royal Canadian Mounted Police Sergeant Dave Dubnik. I've never seen the likes of this. Until this, I wouldn't have known that a person could actually fit under a train, especially the engine of the train. They look like there's very minimal clearance. Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I guess he was a thin guy, because I'm looking at, they're showing a train, a Canadian Pacific train, which was like the train that would have hit him. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. But this is why I question now God, okay? Mm-hmm. You're telling me that God spared this guy from any harm? This miracle occurred to a guy who passed out drunk on train tracks? Doesn't that question, I mean, come on.
He could be on his way to developing a cure for cancer.
Sure, yeah, that's what he's getting to.
He was walking down the train to tell the nearest city the great news. He was drunk with enthusiasm.
I mean, seriously, but on a very sort of, get deep here for a second. For those people who believe that God does all of these miracles and that God is why there was a story yesterday about a little girl, okay, who was killed by a tree that fell in Florida. She was just walking down the street, and a tree just somehow, I don't know, God decided it was time to fell that tree, and the tree fell and killed her. A little girl, she was 6 years old. Why did that happen to her, but this guy, drunk on the train tracks, gets run over by a train, and the train doesn't even injure him? Explain that, God. Seriously, no, I don't want God to explain it because, God can't explain it because I'm not exactly sure that God would communicate in those ways if, in fact, he did exist, which I'm not altogether certain of. However, can you, the God-fearing public, explain this to me, this unbelievably unfair equation of events?
Yeah, I mean, it's just the tip of the iceberg of all the unfair things,
Oh, yeah, I know, but I always like to point these things out as evidence to me that really this is all just a crapshoot. This is all just, we're all just on our last breath all the time. Anything can happen. There's another story. In this one, I read in some of the comments, well, God works in mysterious ways. A plane door fell off a plane while it was taking off from an airport. And the plane door fell on a golf course, a very fancy, private, upscale golf course that was, I questioned, located near an airport? Okay. But at any rate, usually it's not fancy, upscale stuff located near an airport, but okay. So the plane door fell off, and on any typical day, that plane door possibly would have fallen on people because the golf course would have been jam-packed. But it happened yesterday. One of 2 days a year, the golf course is closed for maintenance. Of course, well, that's God for you. No, that's not God for you. That's another indication to me that this is all just random and willy-nilly. That we're all just a bunch of collected cells and molecules just crashing into each other. There is no grand plan designed for each and every one of us. We have free will. We have the ability to think for ourselves and make our own decisions. That's what makes us different. Not that there's some old dude with a beard sitting on a throne on the clouds looking down, making all of these random judgments. No. I mean, I have a very difficult time with that.
Well, you know that the reason why he was spared is because he believes in God.
I guess. All right, so here we go. This is it. This is the two douche candidates of the day. We got the Japanese. Jimmy, I'm gonna need you to help me with this. And by the way, if people in the chat room, they want to chime in, they can cast their votes as well. Is it the Japanese artist who severed or surgically had his own genitals removed, causing me to go into a violent gag fit, and then served them to a bunch of people for $250 a pop? Or is it God for allowing this guy to survive when the little girl in Florida got felled by a tree doing absolutely nothing wrong? Who is today's douche? Jimmy, work it out with me.
That is quite a run. But I would have to say that, the guy, he's drunk. Maybe he has other things going on. Let's say the God does, stand around, watch over everybody one at a time. No, he's got to get lucky today.
All right, so let's pretend for a moment that God does exist and he makes these decisions.
Right.
Maybe God has screwed this guy over in many ways already, which is why he's passing out drunk on train tracks.
Have you ever played The Sims?
God cut him a break.
Yeah. Have you ever played The Sims?
No.
It's like this little game where you
have
I'm
familiar with it, but no, I've never played it.
Different characters in it. You kind of get to play God around it. Sometimes I would make one of the guys in the house like a real loser, and like I always felt kind of bad for him because he would show up to the party, he'd be all socially awkward. Like maybe this was what God was thinking. He was like, I've given you a bad envelope on life, Wait,
all right. So you're.
But yeah, then this guy in Japan, he is officially become my least favorite person in the world.
Yes, one of certainly. I'd have to really think about that for today, though. Yeah, my least favorite person. Maybe that's a whole new category we do daily. Our least favorite person.
Yeah.
Altogether different than douche of the day. All right, so you're going with the Japanese artist?
I am.
And why, you afraid to go against God?
I am, just in case.
Me too, a little bit. So we're going to go with the Japanese artist. We're not going to call God a douche. We're going to go with the Japanese artist. All right, there you have it. Today's douche of the day, the Japanese artist who served his own genitals to two. Or is it the people who paid $250?
Oh, those guys especially, yeah.
Those people, they're douchey too. They're maybe even... yes, because the artist at least was committed fully to something. The people who paid $250 to eat the guy's genitals are just weird and not people that we need to have sharing the same oxygen with us.
Yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite the story into each other. Like, I am going to say that the drunk man was trying to run the train tracks into the place where they were going to be eating that man's genitals.
All right.
And he was held back on his mission.
All right, well, there you have it. That's today's douche of the day. We are giving it to the artist there in Japan who had his genitals surgically removed, and then he served them to a bunch of people who paid money. Okay, let's move on now. It's time to end the show on Friday. We typically like to do a little watch list segment here. But here's the problem. Actually, you know what? Let me pull something up really quick before I do this. I was going to say TV is not going to be, there's not going to be anything worth watching in the next couple of weeks. It'll start to pick up a little bit after that. But in the next couple of weeks, all of the network seasons have ended. They like to take a little bit of break. You'll see nothing but reruns for a couple of weeks, and then we'll start to roll out the new summer shows. Now, last night, one show did debut, Duets, on I think it was ABC.
Please tell me it failed. Please tell me it failed. Please tell me it failed.
I don't know how it did, but I didn't watch it. I recorded it.
Mm-hmm.
You know why I recorded it? I wouldn't have recorded it, but I am fascinated by how much Robin Thicke, the son of Alan Thicke, sounds like Alan Thicke. And I want to just watch it to hear him. Hey, Mike. He's got this weird, I can't do it, but it's this weird sort of nasally kind of Canadian kind of, I don't know, it's weird. It's hard to do, but he sounds exactly like his dad, strikingly so. And Robin Thicke. Hey, this is gonna be really great. I'm like, hey, that sounds just like Alan Thicke.
My favorite part about this is that they got this huge production going on called Duets, where they bring all these people in. I'm sure millions of dollars are thrown at it. Really, to pull in Pugs, you could have had Alan Thicke's son in a white room talking, and you would have tuned in.
Same reason. Yeah, just to hear Robin Thicke sounding like his dad, Alan Thicke, because I get a kick out of that. Boy, I hope my son doesn't sound like me.
We had on Really Bad Radio one time, we had the guy that was Shit My Dad Says, the guy that started...
The Twitter kid?
Yeah.
The Twitter guy?
He ended up getting a show on CBS, and he was going to promote it on the show, and I didn't really know what the show was going to be about. And he told me a little bit about it, but the main thing was that, what's his name was going to be in it? The dad. What was his name? Massively big. From Star Trek.
The dad?
Yeah, from Shit My Dad Says.
William Shatner.
William Shatner. So I was thinking that he was basically just going to have William Shatner in a room saying the things that were on the Twitter account. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, okay.
And I would have watched that. But he was like, no, this is going to be basically a fictional sitcom. I was like, no, dude, you're doing it all wrong. Just put William Shatner
just in a chair.
Yeah.
With a sweater on. Just saying stuff.
Yeah,
like the way Letterman would do it.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Like that. You don't need to do a stupid sitcom about it.
Yeah, and he got one season out of it, and he should have gone that direction.
He made some money, but good for him. And you know what else he did? Now he's got connections in Hollywood. He can work on another script. He can work on another idea. He's further along than we are. It was a good idea. I remember when that came out, and it first started getting a little bit of publicity before the TV show. That was a funny Twitter account.
Yes, it was.
Shit My Dad Says.
Because it was always genius. And then I heard that William Shatner was going to be a part of it. I was like, oh, this is really heading in the right direction. And then they cast it around it, and I was like, "Oh, this is just a bomb."
Silly, man.
Yeah.
I saw one episode of that, and I just thought, God, this is stupid. All right, tonight there are a couple of things you might want to watch. It's the Shark Tank. You can check out Shark Tank on ABC. It's a rerun, but it's not one that I've seen, so good for me. Also on NBC at 7 o'clock, there's that show, Who Do You Think You Are? Okay, that's where they trace back someone's roots, someone's history. Tonight they'll be focusing on Rob Lowe. Tell me, I say Rob Lowe, you say who? Who?
If I saw him, I'd probably recognize him. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's just insane to me that I say Allison Cossack, and you know who that is, but you don't know who Rob Lowe or Alan Thicke is.
If it has to do with news and science, there's a good chance that I got it. That's why I'm so socially awkward with with most girls that it just doesn't work because they want to watch TV and that's when I usually get my time in, my TV time.
Come here. I can't accept you not knowing who Rob Lowe is. I'm sorry. It's not appropriate. Is this guy? Come on. He's been famous since he was 15.
Okay.
Still don't recognize him.
No, is that the guy from Will and Grace?
No, that's Mark McCormick. No, it's not the guy from Will and Grace. It's the guy from St. Elmo's Fire. It's the guy from Young Guns. It's the guy from The West Wing. It's the guy, if not anything else, it's the guy who at the 1992 Democratic National Convention took an underage girl to a hotel room and had sex with her on tape.
Was he the Karate Kid?
No, that's Ralph Macchio.
Oh.
No.
Damn you, Autumn, in the chat room. I was about to say, now I know who he is. He was the Karate Kid.
Really? If you were gay, you'd know who he was because he's a really good-looking guy and everybody thinks that. All right. Anyway, I like Rob Lowe. I think Rob Lowe is awesome. He played Sam. You ever watch The West Wing?
No. I heard it was great. Yeah, I heard it was great.
He played White House communications director, speechwriter to the president, Sam Seaborn. No, nothing? All right. He's so good in that. God, he was good in The West Wing. Anyway, he's been a star. He was a teen idol in the 80s. He's one of the rare teen idols that is 50 now and still has a career. I mean, he's really... Yeah. So anyway, Rob Lowe's career was in the toilet, and they're focusing on him on the Who Do You Think You Are on NBC tonight.
How was I supposed to know him then if his career's been in the toilet?
Oh, did I say his career was in the toilet?
Yeah.
No, his career went into the toilet for a couple of years. Because in 1992, he's very political.
Okay.
He's a very smart guy. He's very active in politics and all of that stuff. And in 1992, he was one of the supporters, one of the celebrity supporters for the unknown governor of Arkansas, Bill Clinton. He was one of the first guys that was out there, attending rallies and, getting... Because at that time in 92, he was a big star. He was a major A-list Hollywood movie star. He was a part of the Brat Pack. Have you ever heard of the Brat Pack?
I don't know. I don't think so.
The Brat Pack?
No, I've heard of the Rat Pack.
Do you know who Emilio Estevez is and Demi Moore? And
I know who they are by name.
James Spader? You
don't know who James Spader is. You're starting to be able to tell when I just nod and I don't know who it really is.
I totally figured you out. Totally. But you do such a great job of faking it. And you're terrific. I can tell you've produced radio and been like a sideman for many years to people because you know how to not interrupt the flow. Except I'm so undisciplined, I'm not going to let you not interrupt the flow. I'm going to get totally distracted by the fact that you don't know who Rob Lowe is.
I know. I honestly, I feel embarrassed many times when people are talking about people that I know I should probably know, at least by name.
You know what? Really though,
and
you know other people. You know, you know important people. Rob Lowe, in the grand scheme of things, is not that important. All right, at any rate, his career went into the toilet, and they're going to trace back his roots on Who Do You Think You Are on NBC tonight. I'll be watching this. His career went into the toilet because he, again, at the 92 Democratic National Convention, he went out partying after the convention, and he met a chick and another chick, and he took these two chicks back to his hotel room in Atlanta, and it was in the early days of video cameras, and he filmed the whole thing, you know, a whole sex tape thing. And then, like, it was like, it's the first, actually, that's why you should know Rob Lowe, the first sex tape. It was the first sex tape.
That is usually how I'll know somebody. Like, if I think that somebody's A-list and they aren't A-list, that means that they either have a serious drug addiction or they have a sex tape out.
Yeah.
So
he was A-list at a time. Rob Lowe's now like B-list, C-list maybe. But he was, but he's got extra credit because he's been famous for so long.
Okay.
And if you have, you know, they always say the career you want in Hollywood is you want a long, sustained career where sometimes you're A-list, sometimes you're not, but it goes, you know, it's peaks and valleys, but at least you're always still in the fight. And that's kind of what he's been able to do with his career. So in 92, he takes these girls back and he has sex with them and he makes a sex tape. And then a couple of months later, it turns out that, like, the girl was 15.
Wow.
It was crazy. It was the first sex tape. And I don't think...
Did the sex tape get released like that?
It was... They showed grainy footage of it. Nothing sex, but, like, him sitting on the bed and the girls walking around. It became a big scandal. And it destroyed his career.
I bet.
He did nothing between like 92 and The West Wing. When Aaron Sorkin created The West Wing and cast Rob Lowe as Sam Seaboard, one of the lead characters, it was a huge deal because it was his comeback, because he had been gone for so long.
Wow.
It was sort of like, it was interesting casting in that, wow, somebody giving Rob Lowe a job? You know, I mean, again, this is like 1998 or 1997. Wow, isn't that guy a pervert? Now everybody's got a sex tape.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what they say about pioneers get the arrows, settlers get the land. He took the arrows for the sex tape generation. Yeah. He took the arrows. He fought the Indians and took all of the bad stuff. Now everyone who gets a sex tape, they get $1 million contracts for him. Wow. He got his career flushed down the toilet.
It really paved the way for Jerry Seinfeld, too.
What do you mean?
Well, with the underage girls, no one seemed to care about that.
Yeah, nobody cared. Nobody cared about Jerry Seinfeld and Shoshona Lowenstein because Rob Lowe was already with the young 16-year-old girl.
Jeez.
In his defense, he didn't know she was 16. She was in a club drinking.
Yeah.
You know, he didn't go to jail or anything like that. I mean, I'm sure that there was money and there was some other stuff. At any rate, his lineage will be focused on here tonight on Who Do You Think You Are? Okay. So that's really all I got to tell you about TV this weekend. It's Memorial Day weekend. There's not going to be much TV at all. The networks know that people are out. They're doing things. They're barbecuing. They're not sitting at home watching TV on Memorial Day weekend. However, we do have a major MMA fight going on. And when I say major, I mean super major. A UFC fight. UFC 146 is happening tomorrow. It is a little less than how cool it should have been. It was supposed to be a heavyweight championship bout between Junior Dos Santos and Alistair Overeem, which would have been a war. Two massive strikers. Alistair Overeem, brand new to the UFC. He dominated all the other leagues in Europe and all over Asia. He was considered the greatest heavyweight not in the UFC. Alistair Overeem makes his debut in the UFC against Brock Lesnar, and he beats the crap out of Brock Lesnar. Sent him into retirement. After the fight, Brock said, "That's it, I'm done. I can't hang." Brock
back
got
to
his
the fake stuff for him, right?
Back to the fake stuff for Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
He got his ass kicked by Alistair Overeem. So everyone is excited about Alistair Overeem's next fight, which would be for the UFC heavyweight championship belt. Tested positive for roids or something like that. So now he can't fight. So now he's not going to be able to fight. But they moved in Frank Mir, who is going to now fight Junior Dos Santos for the UFC heavyweight championship tomorrow night. But what's interesting about this card is that the main card, and this is why it's so exciting, everybody loves the big men. You can watch a UFC fight, it'd be like, a couple of 155-pounders, then maybe a welterweight fight at 170, and maybe a light heavy at 205. Very rarely. It's not even guaranteed that on every card you'll see a heavyweight. In fact, on most cards, you don't see a heavyweight bout.
Those are usually the slower fights, aren't they?
The heavyweights?
They're really big guys.
Well, yeah, it depends. I mean, they're more powerful, so the knockouts and the brawling is much more impressive because it's these big guys. This card tomorrow night, UFC 146, for the first time in UFC history, the entire main card is made up of heavyweight fights. This is gonna be awesome. Not only do we have the heavyweight championship bout between Junior Dos Santos and Frank Mir, but we've got the undercard consisting of former UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez taking on Antonio Bigfoot Silva. We've got the very popular Roy Big Country Nelson. He's the big fat one with the beard that everyone goes, how is that guy an athlete? Jiu-jitsu. You don't have to be an athlete. You just got to know the moves. You really don't have to be an athlete. Roy Nelson versus Dave Pee Wee Herman. Then there's somebody I don't know. This must be a new guy. Stipe Miocic. Something. It sounds like a Russian guy or something. I don't know.
No, don't trust him.
Yeah. Well, he's taking on Shane Del Rosario, who is another very strong fighter, formerly in the Strikeforce organization, now in the UFC. And also on the card, Stefan Struve, who is a very interesting fighter out of Belgium or something, maybe Sweden, somewhere over there. Stefan Struve is interesting because he's like 6'9" and weighs like 150 pounds. No, he obviously he weighs over 205, but he's like 6. He's tall and skinny.
That's how I would expect someone from that area, just like kind of lanky.
Really tall and lanky with really long reach. He's a big striker. He's taking on LeVar Johnson, who is another big striker. But even just the undercards, in the preliminary card, which is going to be airing on FX, has awesome matchups. You get Dan Hardy, former number one welterweight in the world, taking on Dwayne Ludwig. Jason Mayhem Miller, who everyone knows from MTV's Bully Beatdown. He's taking on CB Dollaway. Edson Barboza, who is really a comer. You got to watch this, versus the hated Jamie Varner. I mean, this is a spectacular card. And I don't say this for all cards. There's a lot of cards where I kind of have to muster up enthusiasm, and sometimes I'm even like, maybe I'll wait and watch this one online or something, and instead of going to a neighbor's. This card is a can't miss. Saturday night, major UFC fights, UFC 146. What I want to do quickly here is do this from the start. Let me make my picks here. Let me go on record with my picks for the main card, okay? First bout, we've got Stefan Struve versus LeVar Johnson. LeVar Johnson is a big striker. Stefan Struve is another big, lanky striker. This is going to be an interesting fight because of the size difference. Stefan Struve has so much range, but LeVar is an inside fighter. He's going to get you inside, and he's going to fight you. He's going to throw punches. I'm going to have to go with Stefan Struve on this because I think Stefan Struve has more of a ground game than LeVar Johnson, and with these kind of big guys, at some point, somebody's going to get rattled, and they're going to go to the ground. So fight one, I'm taking the gigantic but really thin Stefan Struve to beat LeVar Johnson. This next fight, Shane Del Rosario versus Stipe Miocic. I don't know who this Stipe guy is, but I do know who Shane Del Rosario is. He's impressed me in Strikeforce organization. He's new to the UFC, so for this fight, I'm going to take Shane Del Rosario.
On that one, I got to go with the Russian. I'm always going to go with Russians.
Well, then, you know what? Let me find out a little bit about this guy, Stipe Miocic. Let me find out something. He is a Croatian-American professional mixed martial artist. He is currently under contract with the UFC. Let's see what his discipline is. What does he do?
There's no discipline in Russia.
He's a boxer wrestler. All right, so I'm still gonna go. I'm still not gonna go with the Russian guy. Excuse me, sorry, I almost vomited earlier. Want a kiss? So I'm gonna go with Shane Del Rosario there. The next fight is going to be Roy Big Country Nelson taking on Dave Pee Wee Herman. This is a tough fight. Yeah, fan favorite Roy Big Country Nelson. He's the guy that when he wins, he rubs his belly and everybody goes crazy. Roy Nelson is the guy in the MMA world who all of the fat dudes at the bar watch and go, see, I can do that. See? What they don't understand is that Roy Nelson has 20 years of high-level jiu-jitsu training. All right, he's not just sitting on a bar somewhere going, see, I could be in the UFC. No, he's an anomaly, and he's an incredibly gifted fighter. But he's taking on a tough guy, man. Taking on a really tough-as-nails guy in Dave Pee Wee Herman. This is a tough one for me to call. But I'm gonna have to lean on the superior jiu-jitsu of Roy Nelson. Because Dave Herman is a wrestler out of Purdue University. So Purdue. I've been in Texas too long.
Mm-hmm.
Purdue.
Yeah.
It's not Purdue.
No.
It's Purdue.
Yeah.
but I would say, and it's not cement, it's cement.
Yeah.
It's not insurance, it's insurance. But I just said Purdue. All right, he's out of Purdue University. I'm going to go with, and this is hard, flip a coin, Big Country, because my heart says Big Country.
So not Pee Wee.
Not Pee Wee, although I love Dave Herman, and he could very well win. But Roy Nelson is so impressive on the ground with his jiu-jitsu. And besides, I will forever root for Roy Nelson because he's the guy that essentially ran Kimbo Slice out of professional fighting. He is the guy that introduced Kimbo Slice to what a real fighter can do, not some thug hanging out in a backyard filming brawls on a video camera. Roy Nelson embarrassed Kimbo Slice. He put him in a crucifix on the ground and just trapped him there, and then just started punching him in the face a bunch of times, like, yeah, you like this tough guy? Yeah. And Kimbo was like, cut it out, and he tapped like a bitch.
I remember that was the first UFC fight I had ever seen because I followed Kimbo Slice on YouTube the entire time, and I was like, man, someone has got to kick this guy's ass. And then finally he goes into professional and got his ass kicked.
He got his ass kicked a number of times. But it was interesting because every 14-year-old YouTube fan in America tuned in to see Big Bad Kimbo fight the fat white guy, and the fat white guy just humiliated Kimbo, just destroyed him. So I'm going to go with the fat white guy. I'm going with Roy Nelson. Also, so I don't think it's a co-headliner. I don't think it's that. But former champion, recent champion, and one of the 2 or 3 best heavyweight fighters in the entire world, Cain Velasquez taking on Antonio Bigfoot Silva. Here's what's cool about Bigfoot Silva. Okay, this guy has that disease, that giantitis disease. You know, all of your features are exaggerated. Like your forehead is bigger, your jaw is bigger, your head is bigger. It's like everything grew just a little bit too big, except for his height, because he's not that tall. But he looks like he should be like 8 feet tall. Oh wow! But he's not. He's got like a size 30 shoe. He's freakishly large in every area, except for the tall. That's why they call him Bigfoot. So it's Cain Velasquez against Antonio Bigfoot Silva. Cain Velasquez will destroy him.
This is what I do love about UFC, is that you have to almost be a mutant to actually do well in this sport. You know what I mean? Like you said, like that guy is just so intelligent on how he's going to methodically take apart your style that he's going to win, even though the bar guy's sitting there thinking that he looks just like him.
Well, they say that styles make fights and all that, and these guys train specifically for the guy they're fighting for, 2 months, sometimes even more, out from a fight to specifically counter, and they watch every piece of tape on the other guy. These are not just thugs walking in and going, let's fight. These are professional athletes who train at a world-class level for years and years and years. I hate that thug attitude. I hate it. And, the other thing, most people don't realize this, but in all of professional sports organizations, there are more college graduates in the UFC than anywhere else. And there was a time, I don't know if the stat is still true, but as of a year ago, it was over 70% of all UFC fighters have a college degree.
And that's probably definitely true. I've met 2 guys that I'm not going to name by name, but they were both kind of douchey though. So like they
Fighter
definitely
guys?
go by
Who were they? Mention their names.
Well,
were they local guys?
No, they were pretty well known guys.
Okay,
yeah.
Then go ahead, mention them.
Well, one of them was I can't even remember his name. He came in, he was really drunk.
Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
Chuck's not a douche. Chuck's just a drunk.
He was he was a douche that night or that day though. So like he was just hard to deal with. Yeah. And then the other time, you know what? I'm not gonna say that he was a douche. He wasn't a douche. He was busy at the time, and then he ended up coming over and like talking and being kind of normal. But it was Tito. And
Tito's awesome.
Yeah, he was actually really nice at the end.
Yeah, Tito's one of the nicest. He's like a big scary dog that people are afraid of, but then they realize he's just like lovable.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Tito's a good dude. We've had a lot of interviews with Tito. Mm-hmm. I like him a lot. Let's see here. Okay, so what was I thinking? What was I saying here? All right, at any rate, so I'm taking Cain Velasquez over Antonio Bigfoot Silva. And then for the heavyweight championship of the world, the main event tomorrow night, Junior Dos Santos taking on Frank Mir. Okay, so here's how this is going to go, okay? Junior Dos Santos cannot be taken down. He's just an amazing. His takedown defense is just at a level for a big man that has been rarely seen in professional mixed martial arts. Frank Mir is possibly the best heavyweight on the ground in the friggin' world. Here is going to be the test. Can Frank Mir get Junior Dos Santos to the ground? If Frank Mir can get to the ground with Junior Dos Santos, Frank Mir wins this fight. If he can't take Junior Dos Santos to the ground, Frank Mir gets pounded out fairly quickly. Junior Dos Santos will knock Frank Mir's head off if Frank can't get him to the ground. So this is a really interesting fight. I believe Dos Santos is a 6-1. And whatever he is, he's a heavy favorite in this fight. Again, Frank Mir is filling in for Alistair Overeem. Frank was next in line for his shot when Alistair got suspended for his testing positive of steroids. I can't wait to see this fight because here's the thing. Nobody can take Junior Dos Santos down. No one has been able to do it. Everyone has tried. No one has gotten him to the ground. Frank Mir is the best at getting people to the ground, or he's the best on the ground. He may not be the best at getting people to the ground, but once they're on the ground, he's the best. Here's going to be the trick. Frank is going to try and sucker Junior down to the ground. Frank is probably going to get hit, and Frank is probably going to go down with the intention of Junior thinking that he's hurt, and Junior will then come to the ground to try and finish it, and then you'll be in Frank's world. And so that'll be the interesting thing to watch out for. I don't believe Frank's going to be able to get Junior Dos Santos to the ground, so I'm taking Junior in a I'm going to say Frank can get out of the first round because Frank's striking is Frank used to not be a striker at all, but boy, he's had a couple of fights where he proved a lot of people wrong. He has really advanced his striking. I'm going to say Frank's going to make it to the second round. Junior Dos Santos by TKO in the second round. All right, those are my picks for the UFC 146 heavyweight laden card tomorrow night on pay-per-view.
What's really impressive is that in the last few years, UFC fighter names have become more recognizable to me than a lot of actors and actresses and people like that. Like I'm not a huge UFC guy. I'll end up being around a bunch of friends whenever they happen to be out and they're like, oh, the UFC fight's about to come on. And I'll watch it just for the sheer brutality of it. You know what I mean? I have no idea what the hell is going on.
Just dudes swinging at each other. You like that.
Yeah. So I mean, like I'll watch it here and there, but like these names are becoming just as well recognized as almost any other athlete.
They are. These guys are. For instance, BJ Penn last night was on Spike TV. Does this MMA show? BJ Penn was on the MMA show being interviewed, and he's talking. He was hanging out on the panel and all that stuff. People think these guys are nothing. That these guys are just. I just for fun, because I knew how successful BJ Penn had been over the last, say, 10 years of the UFC, I wanted to see what he was worth, so I went to Celebrity Net Worth. BJ Penn, who recently retired, although will probably come back, is worth $40 million.
Ooh.
$40 million.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's from a sport that just a couple of months ago or a couple of years back was being banned everywhere. This guy's made $40 million.
He might be able to make a living off of that.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Oh, and to get back to my point when I said that the UFC, as of a year or so ago, they had 70% of their fighters under contract were all college graduates. Mm-hmm. Well, that you think, oh, that's not true. By comparison, I think it's like 15% in the NBA have college degrees. I think it's like 20% or something in football have college degrees. These guys all go to college, but they major in professional sports. They have no intention of graduating. Their intention is to get drafted.
That's the unfortunate thing about that whole system is that NBA will take you in at 18. You don't have to go to college.
No,
the way that they look at it.
Not at all. Nothing.
And then NFL,
right from high school.
Yeah, they'll do it in your junior year. Oh, you don't want to go and actually finish?
They encourage it.
Then yeah, come on over.
But the reason, if you think about it, let me explain this to you. It'll make a lot of sense to you why the UFC fighters all have college degrees. It's because they all went to college on wrestling scholarships. And when you go to college on a wrestling scholarship, you don't think you're going to go. There is no such thing as professional, legitimate wrestling. You don't do that. You use your wrestling to get your accounting degree. And then you go out in the real world. But since the advent of MMA and UFC and all that, these great college wrestlers are now looking at their basketball cohorts and their football cohorts at college, and they're going, hey, now there's a professional league for me too. So they're still graduating, or maybe it's dropped off now because there are guys dropping out of college to now train full-time for MMA and UFC because it's viable. Like I said, BJ Penn is worth $40 million.
I wish that would have happened to me, like in wood shop when I was like making bongs. Like somebody would have just come up to you.
Professional bong league.
I've been like, oh, you're really good at that.
Yeah.
Maybe you could go to college on this.
Sure. Here's your bong scholarship.
Yeah.
All right. That's it. You got anything you want to hit today as we finish up today's show?
Oh, you know what? There is one show that just finished. I always feel bad for saying stupid English shows, but there's one called Black Mirror, and it is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. It's just 3 episodes, hour long each, and it's basically time is just like maybe 10 years in the future, but things have changed so much, and it shows you different little bits and pieces of how it's going to change reality for everybody. It's really kind of cool.
And it's called what?
It's called the Black Mirror.
And where do I see it?
You can get it on YouTube, actually. It's by this guy named Charlie Brooker, who is like incredibly intelligent, really has a good idea of what's going to happen, and it will creep you the F out.
About what the world's coming to?
Just like, I've always been somebody who's like
Is it a documentary or a dramatization?
It's a dramatization, but it's done in a way that is very, very familiar, because you can definitely see our technology going to this point. It's right on the cusp of it right now. Like, for instance, like there's this thing that Google just put out a couple months ago showing it off called Google Glasses, where you'll have glasses on and everything that you see will be videotaped, recorded, and it will be put into like a little bank for you. Well, this takes it a step further.
Don't we already have that? Isn't that called our mind?
Right, yeah. This ends up taking it a step further.
Now a backup to our mind.
Exactly, and this shows how creepy that can be. I mean, like when you are going into a situation where you know that people are judging you. For instance, you're in like a job, you're looking to get a job here, and then all of a sudden when you're on your way back home in the cab ride, you can go through that interview again and see certain things, certain looks that certain people are looking at other people. And it will drive you crazy.
Oh yeah, like if you're talking to somebody and people are like going nudging each other. Oh, what's up with this guy? You now see that?
Yeah. So
all right, that's interesting.
Oh, it's very, very creepy. And then also, I know that the fights are going to be on Saturday, but afterwards we're going to be going really late. We're going to have a party in Deep Ellum at 3200 Main. And Pugs, you are definitely invited.
Yeah, I'm hearing about it now.
Earlier before the show, you got on to me, but I put it out on Facebook. I didn't invite anybody until today, so you know the invite is there, I know you love dubstep.
That's right. Me and my 3-year-old will be there Saturday night after the fights at the house party, 3200 Main.
Well, it's actually it's a rooftop party, so it's we're gonna be on the roof. We got like a stage.
And by the way, let me tell you this. It doesn't count that you're inviting me while you're inviting everyone else. That's not,
That's not the same thing?
It's not the same thing. It hurts a little. All right, that's it. We're done. Oh, anything else?
No, that's it.
Come join us Sunday at the Back 9 between Midway and Marsh on Beltline. We'll be out there from 3 to 6. It's Memorial Day weekend. We're doing a gangbang show. You can check that out. We'll also have that posted up there on the Bar Live if you want to see it, if you miss anything. That's Sunday from 3 to 6 at the Back 9. Bikini girls, car wash, bikini bike wash, all the great things that the Back 9 has to offer. We're going to be out there, and we'll be having a whole lot of fun, and we hope to see you there as well. Don't forget to hit up the Facebook page, the Bar Live on Facebook, and the YouTube channels and all of that stuff. We'll have the shows posted as soon as possible. That's it. We'll be back on, no, not Monday. Of course not. We don't do Monday. It's a Memorial Day. Have a good Memorial Day, and do something nice for a soldier. Do something nice for a veteran. Just, you know what? Here, we started out the show like this. Say hi. Thank a veteran. Thank some. Just say thanks out of the blue. Just say, hey, man, you know what? I just want to say thank you. That's all. That's all. And move on. You don't even have to know the guy. Just do something nice. It's Memorial Day weekend. We'll take a 4-day break, I guess. That's going to do it. We'll be back on Tuesday with another edition of PMS, the Pugs Moran Show on thebaralive.com.